you made the alien sound that Joe Rogan makes.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Thursday, November 1st, 2018. This is your award-winning Gimmo Nation Media Assassination, episode 1082.
This is No Agenda.
Riding the Caravan of Love and broadcasting live from the capital of the Drone Star State here in downtown Austin, Tejas, in the Cludio in the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where everyone's talking about Beto, I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Okay, that's one way to do it. Yes, we were talking. Maybe we should just reiterate that John and I pretty much rarely speak during the week. Well, we don't speak at all, I'd say. Maybe an email or two. And you're a little more active on Twitter, so I see what you're thinking more than usual. But we don't speak. We don't talk about what we're going to do. We each do our own show preparation.
Zephyr.
Right in time. Perfect. Perfect. I'm so happy. It's going to be a good show. So I have no idea what John's clips are. I mean, I look at them when they come in. It's like, okay, I can see the titles and I see if there's anything that I have as well and how we might fold it in. That's it. And then just before the show, I don't know, we were talking about, Beto. Robert Francis.
Robert Francis Beto.
Beto. And I said, did you know that Beto is married to an heiress of a reported $20 billion fortune? And she's the only child.
Yeah, and I said, what?
They don't play that up much, do they?
They don't play it up at all. I just heard it from you this morning. That's why I wanted to talk about it.
He is the daughter of William D. Sanders, a.k.a. the Warren Buffett of real estate, according to Bloomberg. And she is his only daughter. His portfolio is valued at about $20 billion.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this guy's running. So he's collecting all this money. He's collected more money for a guy in a pretty losing state.
$69 million. I looked at Open Secrets. What is it? Is it Open Secrets who does all the?
It's one of them, yeah.
And looks like the majority coming from Alphabet. Actually,
Google.
Yeah, that's Google.
The Google boys are trying to buy Texas.
Good luck, Google boys. Let me see. Beto O'Rourke. I wasn't all that prepared. Campaign finance summary. Here we go. Here it is. Top contributor, University of Texas, of course. Alphabet.
Wait a minute. Why is the University of Texas? Did they give any money to Cruz? I mean, why are they giving money to anybody? They're always jacking up the tuitions on the students, yet they're giving money to political candidates.
Oh yeah, they do a lot of that. All universities do that. What are you talking about? These are political operations. Hello. Yes, $365,000, $365,312. Alphabet Inc. is second spot. Then J Street, which is lobbyist.
Lobbyists.
Street. Then University of California, $131,404.
If the University of California gave Beto over $100,000, that's what you're telling me?
Yes, that's what I'm telling you.
Well, the next time I think they've been taken off the list, but they always call the alumni up asking for money. And I said, I would give you money, but you're just going to give it to Obama. That's what last time I talked to, which was going to Obama ministers, because they gave Obama $1 million. And I'm thinking, why are you asking for my $10, or my $50 or whatever it is? And I won't even give it to the library because I figure they're just funneling that over to some political contribution. If the University of California's got enough money that they can blow it on the Beto thing, I'm not going to donate anything. They're just screwing their alumni with this. I'm not a supporter.
Don't blame it on sunshine. Don't blame it on moonlight. Blame it on the Beto. AT&T, right after University of California, with also a little over $100,000. Now, by industry, according to Open Secrets, Democrat liberal, total of $8.8 million. Retired, just that category, retired, $3 million. What was that? ARP?
I have no idea what that is.
Lawyers and law firms, $3 million. Education, that's 2.6, so there's more than just UT and University of California. Health professionals, 1.3. So it seems like a lot of special interests are interested in him, especially J Street. Come on, J Street.
Now, I guess I figured they can get Ted Cruz out. But, let me move something. Hold on.
What are you moving?
I'm moving my little thing that just fell off the shelf.
You keep your little thing on the shelf?
My computer.
Here, Cruz.
Now, you were saying that there was a big push on the media to get this guy some attention. There's a number of things I want to mention. I want to talk about that because I have a thought on that, and I also want to talk about the fact that the Democratic National Committee's been telling Beto to give them some of the money, and he won't do it.
He's got $69 million. So hey, man.
Hey, there's other candidates that need to use it. Yeah. And he's not spending it all, apparently.
Well, he has $10 million left when I looked yesterday.
Oh, well, he spent quite a bit then.
Yeah, he spent quite a bit. Quite a bit. But he's getting a lot of exposure. He was on, he's popping up everywhere on Pod Save America. And Chris Matthews yesterday did a town hall at Houston, University of Houston.
And you got all this, but here's what I think is going on with it. I think that you're going to see even more of him before next week, is the media is promoting the heck out of this guy because they've got to get the old rules back on track, meaning the more you spend, the more likely you are to win.
Yes.
And this guy he spent $59 million, according to you, was holding back 10, and he's going to outspend Cruz. There's no doubt about that. So he should win.
Well,
or they got to find some way to get him to win.
He outraised Cruz for sure.
Yeah.
By a good $20 million, I think.
Yeah, so he should. They got to get him to win because if they can,
breaks it. Yeah,
one guy like this to win, and they're on the easy street because now everyone knows they got to spend more money.
Right. Yes, everybody wins, especially the consultants. Wins. The consultants win biggest.
Everybody wins.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to win.
I don't think so either. It's looking like, I don't know. I don't think so. Probably the caravan.
He's that presentable.
I mean, John, let's be honest. You're talking about Texas. You're talking about, we are our own country here. And, we got no problem with Beto and the signs and everything. I got no problem with the guy. Seems like a nice guy. But, we've been sold this threat of the caravan. It's coming right towards us. This clearly is not a coincidence. So, the caravan is the caravan of love.
Texas.
Yeah, it's heading towards Texas. Exactly.
Yeah.
And they're horrible people on it.
Oh, it's horrible. Well, they've taken, I guess Fox has kind of taken they've turned on themselves. Shepard Smith turned on his own company.
Shep Smith has been he's the token
he's a virtual
liberal guy.
He wants to get out. So he's doing everything he can to get fired, but they won't fire him. But let's play the Shepard Smith no invasion clip.
Tomorrow, the migrants, according to Fox News reporting, are more than 2 months away, if any of them actually come here. But tomorrow is 1 week before the midterm election, which is what all of this is about. There is no invasion. No one's coming to get you. There's nothing at all to worry about. When they did this to us, got us all riled up in April, remember? The result was 14 arrests. We're America. We can handle it.
They need to do this kind of stuff. And Shep is the perfect guy for it. They love him there. Come on. We know who runs all these media outlets.
Yeah, Democrats.
It's the Democrats who run it. So now, that's fine. That's fine.
So because of this and other things, they took a big chunk out of Lou Dobbs's show and shelved it and kept it there. And they took it off all the recordings, even though there was one on YouTube, which I listened to, because it had to do with this caravan.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you read the right-wing press, oh, my God, they're trying to suppress this information.
Hold on. I have the clips. I have the clip from.
You have the Lou Dobbs.
Yes,
clips?
Yes, I have the Lou Dobbs clip.
Before I don't want to demean your clips because I had the clips too, and I think that they took them off because they're incredibly boring.
Well, it's just to show. I mean, this is one thing. What happened is here's the sequence of events. Caravan invasion, scary. Then we get Gab guy kills Jews in synagogue because Soros. Soros becomes so widespread that the Dutch national broadcaster in the Netherlands wrote an article about Soros, and I think they were just translating. I've told they do this all the time. They're not real journalists. Most of them just wake up in the morning, look at the U.S. papers. Okay, I'll just translate this. And one line said, "The Jew Soros, da 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 da," and that one line caused a national uproar. And what there's
the Jew Soros,
the Jew Soros, and so I think
that was the national uproar in Holland.
Yes, I think that it was translated. It was supposed to be the Jewish Soros, and they were trying to show that he's being blamed for this because he's Jewish. That's their story, but that's not the way it was written. The Jew Soros. So you get Robbie Naftaniel from the Dutch Anti-Defamation League. Oh no, it got incredibly crazy, and and so now you have Well, I'll play this. Do you have just a little bit of the clip? You don't have any of it of the Lou Dobbs stuff?
No, I thought it was so. No offense to your clip, but I thought it was the reason they took it off because it was boring. This the guy with the Judicial Watch, right?
Yes, but it's not Tom Fitton. It's
no,
Chris
it's not Fitton. It's some lackey who's got nothing going on.
And apparently he's
not interesting.
Apparently he's been banned from Fox. He's
supposedly. Well, for being dull.
My next guest just returned from
it is Fox Business News. It's
Guatemala, where he spent 4 days on the ground witnessing the caravan just north of the Honduran border. Joining us tonight, Chris Farrell, Director of Investigations for Judicial Watch.
Director of
Chris,
Investigations.
Good to have you with us. I know that this caravan was a subject of considerable interest for you, for Judicial Watch, and certainly for the American people. Give us your first, and I'm going to, because we have limited time, ask you to be as succinct as possible.
Limited time, sure.
Your thoughts on what you witnessed and what you saw and heard.
It's an overwhelmingly male caravan of mid-teens to mid-40s. I'd say the women and children are a super minority. There are certainly criminal elements rolled into the caravan. There were children that were recovered from a human smuggling operation today. The Guatemalans are trying to hold them back and turn them back, but it's a very grave situation.
Leftist groups reported to be the organizers, playing instrumental roles and financial roles.
Leading the way.
Tell us what you can.
Sure. Look, this is a criminal involvement on the part of these leftist groups. It's highly organized, very elaborate, sophisticated operation. I have that from the highest levels of the Guatemalan government. They're investigating those groups criminally, and I strongly urge President Trump and Attorney General Sessions to do the same here. A lot of these folks also have affiliates who are getting money from the Soros-occupied State Department, and that is a very great concern.
That was it. It was the Soros.
I agree.
The Soros. Now, let me just explain one thing about this. I think what he's trying to say, it comes out in a very, very unfortunate way, is that the Open Society Institute, George Soros's, the mothership of all of his philanthropic deeds, gives so much money to all these little NGOs, just hundreds of NGOs. But a lot of the money does come from USAID. And that is directly from the State Department. I think that's what the guy is trying to say, but it comes out in a way that Brian Seltzerwater over there at CNN, he understood the dog whistle.
Last night after, I think it was.
Oh, and this is with, what's his face? Is that Crystal? Bill Crystal, I think.
The killing, right? Someone on Fox Business had a guest talking about, was it the Soros-occupied State Department?
Yeah, let's pull that up because a tweet about this by Josh Marshall went viral. We can show you the tweet. I don't want to play the clip from Lou Dobbs because it's so gross.
Yeah.
I don't want to give it any more oxygen, but the point of the tweet...
It's so gross. I don't want to give it any more oxygen.
How is it so... What is gross about it?
Well, Crystal just said the gross part. That was it. There's nothing else in the boring clip, but this continues.
The point of the segment, as Josh Marshall is saying here, is that Lou Dobbs had a guest on from Judicial Watch saying the caravan from Central America was being funded or directed by the Soros-occupied State Department.
So the Soros-occupied is a play on Zionist-occupied government, which is a very familiar anti-Semitic trope.
This is is great.
Soros is Jewish, and the right has been obsessed with him for that, among other reasons. And this brings it all together. So it's the Jews, the evil Jews, occupying the U.S. government and bringing in alien invaders into this country. And that has been, you don't have to go that
but there's something to this, and I'll get to it in a moment.
Far, unfortunately, into not just right-wing websites, but even onto Fox News, as we just saw, to get that kind of
But Fox
narrative.
is going to say you're blaming them. Are you blaming them?
I'm blaming them for putting that guest on the air and not, correcting him in real time. And so far as I know, 12 hours later, doing nothing about it. And I'm blaming, honestly, at this level, after we have Tucker Carlson and Laura Ingraham, and I've known all these people in the past on TV every night, I'm blaming the management of Fox and the investors in Fox and the some of the other talent who are decent people at Fox for saying nothing. This has been going on a long time. If you watch Fox in prime time, and I don't, but you read about it and you see clips, it's really appalling. And everyone just sits back and says, well, that's just Fox. They're making money.
Hold on a second.
And we're not going to say anything.
Stop it. You can't do what he just did. I can't say, these guys are crazy. They're doing all this stuff. I won't watch it. I've never heard a word of it.
Yeah,
but I've heard the clip, and somebody else told me
read
this.
about it.
Secondhand, I've read about it.
It's horrible.
You can't be making these sorts of statements if you're on these shows.
Well, Bill Kristol can.
By the way, he's a liar because he watches this stuff.
Of course. Now, let me remind you where this comes from. And I got a couple emails about it. People reminded me of a clip, and I think we brought it up in a very similar fashion about, and this is, I think a lot of the conspiracy theories from the crazy Jew haters stems from clips like the following. This is a flashback for the No Agenda show. We played this. It's very short, 36 seconds, a couple of years ago. This is Barbara Lerner Spector. She's the founding director of the Paida Sweden. And you may recall that the Paida, it's Paeida, Paida, I don't know how to pronounce it. They have a mission, and their mission is the multicultural integration, in this case, of Europe. So listen to what she says.
I think there's a resurgence of anti-Semitism because at this point in time, Europe has not yet learned how to be multicultural. And I think we're going to be part of the throes of that transformation, which must take place. Europe is not going to be the monolithic societies that they once were in the last century. Jews are going to be at the center of that. It's a huge transformation for Europe to make. They are now going into a multicultural mode, and Jews will be resented because of our leading role. But without that leading role and without that transformation, Europe will not survive.
So, this is taken quite literally, and I don't know what their mission is. What I'm hearing her say, and this is the real foundation, real outfit, is she's saying the Jews are responsible, and it's their mission, or at least these Jews, it's their mission to shepherd in the multicultural society in Europe. That's what I'm hearing her say. And
that's in fact what she said.
That's creating resentment.
I would think it might.
Yes. And so when you get the what is it? The HEIC, is it the Hebrew International or the Hebrew Immigration Aid Council? Whatever the Squirrel Hill synagogue shooter was posting about.
Yeah, he was about that operation.
Well, yes, and he's been over socialized on social networks, and so his brain fries. I'm not making excuses, just telling you where it's coming from. And he's heard about this, and when you hear a clip about that, now that pertains to Europe. We've seen some pretty nasty things in Scandinavia, in particular, was it Denmark, where the guy killed like 80 kids.
Yeah, we didn't cover it that well.
We covered it very well at the time. Don't you remember on the island? We covered the heck out of it.
Brett, that's Norway.
Oh, Norway. I'm sorry. Why was I saying Denmark? Norway, yes.
So that's why I didn't remember the Denmark thing.
Yeah. And that comes from the same place. But here you have, what's happened here is you get Bill Kristol and Brian Seltzer, I think both Jewish. And, what they're doing is just putting more flames on the fire by going from the Jews are trying to shepherd in the multicultural society despite what Whitey thinks. I'm just not telling you from my perspective, but from what I think these people think. Oh, and here's two Jews who run the media kicking the guy off. I mean, it's very inflammatory. Because that's another staple, anti-Jew staple.
Well, that's interesting.
So,
I'm glad you got the Lou Dobbs clip to show people what it was really about, which was a minor comment that was ill-advised and boring.
Quite.
If you listen to the whole thing,
I
go,
did.
My God, this is why they cut it out.
I did. I was like, where? I mean, it's almost like obfuscating the evidence of fake outrage to me. That's what it feels more like than anything else.
Yes, the fake outrage, and then this reminds me actually of the 911 call at the
Sandy
school.
Hook. Yeah,
at Sandy Hook, which we
are you
played
trying to get
on
us?
our
Are
show.
you trying to get us deplatformed here? What? We're on a roll today.
We played the 911 call, and it was like the Lou Dobbs thing. It was boring. It was nothing going on.
Yeah.
That's why they didn't want to play it. They just made up the fact that it was exciting.
Yes.
And they're making this up, too, that this is some horrible thing happened on the Lou Dobbs show. And now they've smeared Lou Dobbs in the process.
But it has sparked a national, a renewed, again, the events are very interesting to watch. And just the sequence is so coincidental, where you have Texas, lots of money being spent on Beto. We got Lion Ted, Sleepy Ted, whatever it is. We gotta hook him up. We can't have Texas flip. And I've always said it could flip. It wouldn't be that hard if you had the right candidate, and I think right candidate may be it, but
right candidate would help. I mean, they have, they will vote for a Democrat if it's a old-fashioned conservative Democrat.
Sure.
Not Beto. That guy's like a screw loose liberal.
And so,
no offense to all the screw loose liberals that listen to the show.
But it's obvious that we're a battleground state for whatever reason, which seems ill-advised. But okay, so they pour a lot of money.
No, I don't think it's ill-advised. I think they figured, look, we're not getting anywhere with this. We're not getting the money that we should be getting. The media people, the media moguls, and we're not getting the money. But what if we could flip Texas because we just got a lot of money?
Yeah.
Texas would be, because you're flipping something that's always on the borderline is not so what,
right?
But flipping Texas would be like
a big deal.
Major boost to the media people that need more money.
Well, I tell you, Austin for one is just Beto land. I mean, the signs.
That's the problem.
The signs are everywhere.
I think he lives in Austin, doesn't he?
No, he lives in El Paso.
Oh, El Paso. Right.
Anyway, so you have the Beto surgeons, all the money, just to make sure, whether it was instigated on purpose or whatever it is, caravan, scary, invasion, caravan, scary, invasion. Then, by coincidence, some guy goes off on the Jews. I'm just saying it the way he would say it. The Jews, helping them to invade us based on this backstory supported by statements such as this lady who's in Sweden. So he has this theory, and there may be some truth to it. I don't know. He goes off, kills people, and then the caravan story turns into, it's George Soros. Oh, Jew! And then we shut it all down, shut down the whole conversation. It seems like if I wasn't so skeptical, you'd think both sides are, I always have to remind myself, the elections really matter in the power structure. I have no doubt people are willing to kill, maim, organize. No, I'm seriously. You can get someone killed in Holland for 5,000 euros these days. It's gone down quite a bit. The people haven't. There's no one. These people don't give a crap. They'll kill anything if it can get them Texas or whatever it is. Both sides, Republican, they're all crazy. There's crazy powers at work. So wouldn't surprise me.
This will slow down after the midterms.
Well, yes, of course.
Hopefully not too much, because the show will suffer.
Can we stay on this for a sec? Can we stay on the?
Yeah, we're going to stay on it. I just going to say I've got some more stuff. That I don't know if it veers off too much, but for example, the Don Lemon thing.
No, it's veering off too much.
Okay,
no. You know what? Actually, it's a good idea. Do you have the full Don Lemon?
I don't have the full
do.
thing. I got the middle.
Because here's what's going on.
Well, how long is your clip?
2 minutes.
Okay, you're good.
Yeah, you want it in context. And then I've noticed over the past 4 weeks, there's been an increased. I'm seeing increasingly videos going viral that show Democrats being a-holes, racist, etc., but they are clipped out of context, and someone's doing it much more professionally than I've ever seen before. In fact, I even got duped by one.
What you want.
Right. And so I do have some examples of that coming up later, but this one of Don Lemon actually is entirely in context. And here it is with the Cuomo kid.
It's not just Pittsburgh. It's not just the bomber. There was another hate-filled criminal just last week in Kentucky. Another white man, history of violence, custody for shooting and killing 2 African Americans at a grocery store, Kroger's. But what he tried to do was barge into a predominantly black church. He failed. And then he picked a secondary target. He's being investigated for hate crimes. Don Lemon is here right now. We barely had time to cover it because we were distracted by another extremist that was doing bad things in the name of hate.
Yeah, and then now another one. And you have all of them in a row. And, we messaged about this a little bit this weekend. I keep trying to point out to people not to demonize any one group or any one ethnicity, but we keep thinking that the biggest terror threat is something else. Some people who are marching, towards the border like it's imminent. And when the last time they did this, a couple hundred people came and they, most of them did get into the country. Most of them got tuckered out before they even made it to the border.
Tuckered out.
So we have to stop demonizing people and realize.
This is the best part. He keeps saying, we got to stop demonizing people, man. You got to stop. This is Don Lemon, serious Don. Stop demonizing.
Got tuckered out before they even made it to the border. So we have to stop demonizing people and realize the biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized to the right.
Demonize them.
And we have to start doing something about them. There is no travel ban on them.
Travel ban.
There's no ban on, they had the Muslim ban. There is no white guy ban.
Oh, come on.
So what do we do about that? And first of all, let me just say
wait a minute, stop. He asked a rhetorical question. There's no white guy banned. What do we do about that? As if that's a question anybody's asking.
Now, so at this point, because I've seen the viral clip, I thought, okay, there's probably some context that is not there for whatever reason.
Ban on them. There's no ban on, they had the Muslim ban. There is no white guy ban. So what do we do about that? So, and first of all, let me just say this.
By the way, stop again. It was never a Muslim ban. It was a ban specific to certain countries.
Yes.
And white guys lived in those countries, and white guys were also banned.
Don Lemon is, I don't know if he's dating or married to a white guy. His boyfriend or husband is a white guy.
Oh,
but he's a good kind of white guy. See, we have to start getting down. So it's like
gay.
20 seconds. There you go.
Maurice Stollard is the name, and Vicky Jones, and they have been lost in all of this. 2 people who were killed on Wednesday that you talked about. They have been lost about this, and I know that people feel that this story has not gotten enough coverage, and we will honor them tonight in our program. But go on, Chris. Sorry.
Good. No. I'm going to do it in the closing. You're making the right point. You're covering the right story, and I appreciate you for that.
I appreciate you, man.
All right.
No, so it's true. What he said really came out of his pie hole. It's seconds after saying we got to stop demonizing people, but I guess white guys aren't people or something.
This anti-white thing that's going on, coincidentally, the murder of Whitey Bulger.
Now, this has multiple layers, actually, John. This has multiple layers.
It piles onto that. I do have a Whitey Bulger clip. We'll play it later because it's really not about this anti-white thing.
But it is.
But it could be.
It is good. I read this morning that they cut his tongue out.
No. Well, the latest that I heard. Here's what I heard.
That's what I got this morning.
Oh, yeah. My understanding is they attempted to cut his tongue out.
Oh, okay, maybe. But
but they did gouge his eyes out.
Just briefly on this. Just briefly on Whitey Bulger. And by coincidence, HLN, Headline News, a CNN sub-affiliate, their little sister station, had a 2-hour special running all day yesterday about Whitey Bulger, and was he a snitch for the FBI? Was he not? He claimed he wasn't. There's an incredible history behind Whitey Bulger.
It's the FBI that tipped him off to let him escape. The whole Whitey Bulger story is a huge embarrassment for the FBI.
Yeah, but
if they're trying to make amends through HLN, they're not going to get anywhere.
So, Republican Louis Gohmert wrote a couple years ago a long blog post, and I put it into the show notes, about Robert Mueller, who at the time was very involved. See, there was also a rogue outfit of the FBI in Boston, and they were completely integrated with the gangs, with the Whitey Bulger gangs, and they became criminal themselves. And from what I understand, if you read Louis Gohmert's public blog post, he says that Robert Mueller has a lot of problems regarding Whitey Bulger. And I think because Mueller's about to come out with his report, either before or after the midterm, doesn't really matter.
After.
That's what we're being told. I believe that two things, again, coincidence. We got Whitey Bulger, very famous, a complete corrupt FBI at the time. Robert Mueller, not the director, but high level in the FBI. And then all of a sudden we have allegations, whether they're bullcrap or not, that he, sexual assault. Mueller is under attack now.
Yeah, I have.
Someone had to kill. I think they had to kill Bulger to shut him up because there's stories that he was about to blow the lid on the FBI, which could have totally, even just the assumption, could have completely discredited Mueller.
Well, they kept. First of all, I can tell you that the whole Mueller targeting is a hoax.
Well, the women thing sounds like a hoax. Yeah, I'm not thinking that's real.
The letter that was sent to the journalist, which was posted, that letter was a hoax.
I don't know what letter you're talking about.
There was a letter that was sent to a number of journalistic outlets. I have a copy somewhere.
Recently or a long time ago?
That was the one that set off this whole thing. It was the letter was sent to WorldNet Daily, just about all the major newspapers.
About the women who are being paid.
The
letter itself was a hoax. Yeah, sure.
The letter itself was a hoax, and it's structured like a hoax.
Yes.
And it was designed to embarrass the media because nobody did any research. They never found out who wrote the letter. They didn't do any of this because the entire letter was a hoax done by a couple of guys back east.
You want to hear the NPR report of this letter? It's some pretty funty wording.
NPR National Security Editor Phil Ewing joins us now. Phil, this is weird, but what do we know so far about this story?
It's a very weird story. If it's a hoax, it appears to be a hoax within a hoax. So
they're really stretching now.
There were these a hoax within a hoax.
It's a hoax within a hoax. It's a hoax within a hoax.
Allegations that came into inboxes in Washington of reporters, including NPR, from someone who called herself a woman in Florida who had allegedly been offered money to make these false charges against Mueller. And what may be the case is that woman actually does not exist, and that those false charges were in fact false charges about false charges. What isn't clear is whether this was intended to embarrass the special counsel's office or just to embarrass the journalists who had been sent this email as they tried to investigate and report on it.
No, that pretty much backs your story up. The hoax within a hoax within a hoax.
Yeah, well.
Here's an interesting little factoid, and you actually may not have even realized you were part of this. After Sunday's show, I always go through the tweeter timeline, see what people are saying, make sure everyone can receive it. If I mess something up, I have to go correct something. And if someone retweets the show, I'll give them a little like. Hey, thanks for retweeting. Like. And there was this, one producer, I presume, who liked it. And then all of a sudden, some guy jumps in and starts yelling at him like, you're full of crap and all this. And you and I are both tagged in this tweet stream. And the guy who liked and retweeted the show was Jacob Wall. This is one of the main guys who was supposed to have created this hoax, and here he is liking our show. And then some other guy comes in like, you're full of crap, and you're Jacob Wall, you're full of this. And somehow we're both in this timeline, and more people jump on. And then someone says something about, hoax. And then you think that they're saying something about you. And you're like, show me where I said hoax. And then the guy comes back, hey, you old clown, shut up. It's like, learn how Twitter works. Like, wow, I don't want to be.
Yeah, well, that clown that said that had like 4 followers. There are way too many people following the two of us that are got 2 followers, 3 followers, 4 followers. I go and they come in with these snipey remarks. I rarely respond to them.
Right, but
what
I found interesting is one of the main players of this hoax apparently listens to our show.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. I'm not convinced that he is actually the hoaxster.
No, I don't know either.
But yes, it's good. He should listen to the show. He's probably get some good ideas. Anyway, back to this whole thing. Let's get these out of the way since I think it's part of the bigger discussion, which we seem to be having about Whitey. Let's get the Whitey Bulger dead clip out of the way so we can at least understand how great it was that he was killed.
For many victims of James Whitey Bulger's reign of terror, his violent death Tuesday seemed all too fitting.
He deserved a slow death, and that's what I hope he got.
I'm going to buy myself a bottle of champagne, and I'm going to pop that cork.
We are celebrating the death of Whitey Bulger.
Radio host and Boston Herald columnist Howie Carr says Bulger's ordered a hit on him after he started writing about the Irish mobster.
According to one of his associates, they got some C4 explosives from some of their crooked FBI agents and tried to blow me up with it, putting it in a basketball.
According to the Boston Globe, Bulger's eyes were nearly gouged out, and 2 inmates, including a convicted mafia hitman, were seen on surveillance video entering Bulger's cell Tuesday morning.
I'm glad he did it. If I could, I'd put money in his canteen for him.
Bulger rose to power by ratting out his rivals. In the 70s through the 90s, he seemingly ran the Winter Hill gang with impunity, having paid off police and FBI agents. Bulger's brutality and ruthlessness inspired Jack Nicholson's character in The Departed. And Johnny Depp played him in the movie Black Mass. In 1995, tipped off to an imminent federal indictment, Bulger and his longtime girlfriend Catherine Gregg went on the run, landing him on the FBI's most wanted list. When they were finally found 16 years later, they were using fake names and posing as retirees in Southern California. Scott Garriola, the FBI special agent who arrested Bulger, spoke with 60 Minutes' Steve Croft in 2013.
I asked him to identify himself, and that didn't go over well. He asked me to effing identify myself, which I did. And I asked him, I said, are you Whitey Bulger? He said, yes.
You're not supposed to be happy when someone dies, but this guy was a monster, a fiend, and one of the most horrible people I ever hope to meet.
I do like the subtle persuasion of kill Whitey.
Yes, kill Whitey.
and we're glad Whitey's dead. Yeah.
And we're glad Whitey's dead.
It's subtle.
This
subtle.
is all the message. This is the message right here. Kill Whitey. We're glad Whitey's dead.
Yeah.
Now, which is in coincidence with the Don Lemon commentary and a lot of the other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the funny thing about the Whitey Bulger thing was that he, besides being tipped off by the FBI so he could escape and kind of live, he was 89, but the federal prison guys kept moving him from prison to prison. I think they were trying to get him killed. And they finally found a prison with these guys, this one guy in particular who was like a fanatic. Looks like a good-looking guy, too. A Greek, never a made man, Greek hitman, and who hated 2 things, according to one of the reports. He hated snitches, and he hated people who abused women. And Whitey was both. He used to kill women.
Ah, yeah.
Him and a friend of his in the prison who probably was
nice guys.
They took him, stuffed something in his mouth, and they're starting to kill him by beating him to death. And they can't seem to really show that, there's no bruises on anybody, I guess. I think this guy's going to kind of get off.
Hey, maybe it was an extraction. Maybe Whitey's not dead. Who knows?
For the FBI?
I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out.
Yeah, it's possible.
It's not not much crazier than Kill Whitey being related to Don Lemon. I mean, that's
Kill Whitey. Oh, they did kill Whitey in that.
Oh man.
Okay, where were we?
Well, I can go back to. I have a little clip of Mika talking about the caravan.
Oh, okay, let's go back to
Mika
that.
Brzezinski from the Morning Joes.
Let's pull back and look at the politics of this. I'm a suburban mom, a privileged one for sure. But I think I have a pretty good feel for why a lot of these competitive suburban House districts seem to be trending toward the Democrats. Most days it seems like the entire Trump presidency has been purposefully geared toward alienating suburban women, some of whom chose Trump over Hillary Clinton, but are now looking to put a check on this out-of-control presidency. His policies, his scandals, his rhetoric, all things that are deeply disturbing to many Americans. But if you're a woman and a mom and just a regular voter, how can you look at Donald Trump's reaction to those bombs sent to some of his most prominent critics and his graceless behavior in the wake of the Pittsburgh synagogue shooting and not be, to put it bluntly, absolutely disgusted?
Bluntly.
This week, Trump will continue to campaign hard for his Republican candidates, not shying away from making this election a referendum all about him. There are a lot of segments of the electorate that will determine how things turn out next week, but I say, I beg, I plead to all mothers, not just those who live in suburbs, but everywhere. Think about what message voting for Republicans will send to Donald Trump. Think about your children.
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children?
You know, who's she kidding? The people that are making it about Donald Trump isn't Donald Trump. It's everybody else. I have a clip of Elizabeth Warren being called out for...
Oh, this is great. I'm glad you got that.
And all she does, she's called out for election campaign violations.
It doesn't really, I didn't clip it because I wondered if it would work without seeing that silly expression on her face, because that's very key.
It works fine. I think it works fine listening to it. But the thing is, he calls her out on this, and she immediately turns it into a Donald Trump thing.
And one other thing that really we found out recently, I think is pretty unconscionable, is the fact that Senator Warren was fundraising illegally using the vote on Justice Kavanaugh, the confirmation vote, to try to raise money for her campaigns. That just came out. You know, that's something that you should not be doing, first of all, when we are having a national discussion about the Supreme Court. It's trying to fundraise off it, but you did, and it turns out it's illegal.
So can I just ask
no, go ahead, please. Yeah.
A question here. I hear Mr. Deal's statement about how wrong it was the way that Dr. Ford was treated. But I don't remember Mr. Deal speaking up when Donald Trump made fun of her. I don't remember Mr. Deal speaking out when the Republicans were actually ramrodding through the Kavanaugh nomination. I may have just missed it, but I don't remember it.
You know, that's because, Senator Warren, I don't look for every opportunity to try to grandstand. You know, I didn't recall you responding to the mayor of Somerville making a pretty negative statement this last week. But the fact of the matter is, that was such an intense moment in our country's history as far as trying to deal with presumption of innocence, the cornerstone of our legal system. And you were willing to throw it right out the window because you were part of the Senate Democrats who were trying to score political points by using poor Dr. Ford's testimony as a way to drag down a man without any corroborating evidence.
So I don't think I quite understand the answer. Because I'm looking for the times when you've called out Donald Trump, when he's made fun of someone like Dr. Ford, when he's made fun of someone who's disabled.
I would like to drill down on what Representative Deal said. The fundraising while the vote was being taken on the Kavanaugh hearing, did you or did you not do that?
Actually, I don't know, and I don't know what the.
Isn't there an ethics committee?
Yes, there's an ethics complaint has been filed about a fundraising.
Then I will check into it, but I don't know.
Yeah, she's toast.
Well, She's a Democrat, and the Massachusetts nuts, they love Democrats.
You know what really, what was noticeable to me when I saw that clip was the incredible, because we're almost not used to a debate. The last time we saw a debate, there was Cruz and Beto. But, really, in your mind, a debate between a Republican and a Democrat is shouting match. It's Trump, bam, bam, bam. And this was, no.
This guy's good.
Well, but it was very interesting just because the format is, here's what I'd like to lead into. I'm noticing that people are either trying to go the opposite way, like this, very calm and collected, or like President Obama, trying to do a little bit of Trumpiest stuff.
Obama can't do it.
Yeah, but he's trying. He's trying to get mad, and he's trying to, yell.
Do you have the stammering clip about the caravan?
Yeah, let me see how long mine is. Let me see. Where did I have it here? Oh, yeah. He's in Wisconsin, which is, of course, very important. It's exactly the same length. And mine's a little longer.
We have the same clip.
Yeah. But let's
this is Obama. And it's actually the first time I saw this, somebody said, look at this. And I looked at it, but I never turned the sound on because I was just watching him. Mm-hmm. And he looks like he's, seriously unglued. Yeah. He's freaky looking. His hair is like, turned almost half gray, and he just doesn't look healthy. He looks terrible. And when he does this bit here, he has no prompter, and he's just shooting off the cuff.
And we know what happens when he's shooting off the cuff. He starts to stutter.
Yeah, he stutters.
Yeah. So here he is in Wisconsin, which is is now claimed as that was the state. Only 70,000 votes in Wisconsin, so he's trying to rile everybody. I think there's only 1,000 people maybe in the audience. What didn't seem like a huge crowd. 1,000 people, if anything, is pretty big. And I think he's really trying to do a little bit of Trump energy.
That's the thing that is the most important thing in this election. Not health care, not whether or not folks are able to retire, not doing something about higher wages or rebuilding our roads and bridges and putting people back to work.
I thought it was about he's just spouting off. I think we have.
And by the way, where was he during his 8 years and so far as rebuilding roads and bridges?
But
he was in president for 8 years. Where are these roads and bridges? Don't you remember when he started off shovel ready? He was going to have all these shovel ready
jobs. Yeah, shovel ready jobs. Yeah, and then the banks got all the money. Oh, silly us. But yes,
suddenly
he's also why aren't you getting jobs? Well, it seems like we do have more jobs, but okay.
This group of folks.
It's just now it's not. Notice how it goes from asylum seekers, people very sad, trying to get away from certain death in their country, which is what we've been told. It's like these people are running for their lives. They just want a better life, and now he's diminishing them.
Isn't putting people back to work. Suddenly, it's this group of folks. We don't even know where they are. They're way down there. That's the biggest thing. And as soon as the election's over, everybody will be like, what happened? We were being invaded. Where'd it go?
Yeah.
And you know what? It would be funny, except they do it every time, and too often it works. Everybody gets all freaked out, and we got to stop falling for this stuff. We're like Charlie Brown with the football.
Yes.
You can't fall for that okie doke. Don't be hoodwinked. Don't be that.
I love we can bring our old songs back now.
Yeah, the okie doke.
The okie doke. Oh man! Wait, there was something else in there. Oh yes, he says Lucy in the football, and this was interesting to me.
Well, he just says Charlie Brown.
Charlie Brown with the football, because I was reading. Let me see where this is. there was an article that I got to, an article from 1990 about Trump. And let me see where it is. I'm not quite sure. I was led to it from some other article from last year. And it's around the time when, he's got Marlon Maples is just coming into his life. The casino is going down. There's all this stuff happening. And it's a Vanity Fair, actually. So there's, big piece, about all the grandeur and his rise to power and how everyone loves him and the rap stars. And then how all of a sudden he had this horrible bankruptcy and he comes right back and the media just was all over him. And at the end of the article, and this is why I'm a little pissed I can't find it that easily, it actually says that the press is waiting for him at the court in the press room at the courthouse for one of his many pieces of litigation, and the journalists are there yelling at each other. I can't believe it. We built this guy. We gave him all the publicity, and now he's screwing us. We hate this guy. I'm like, it's a complete fractal. They've already gone through this one. Oh, that's actually what I filed it under, fractal. There you go. It's Donald and Ivana Trump's divorce, the full story. Let me just read the last paragraph to you so I get it. It's a very long article. Here it is. I wandered down to the writer, the interviewer. I wandered down to the press room on the 5th floor to hear about Trump's testimony. The reporters sounded weary. They had heard it all before. Quote, "God damn it," one shouted at me. "We created him. We bought his bullshit. He was always phony, and we filled our papers with him." They've done it before. It's his playbook.
Fractal.
It's total. Do I have the fractal thing? I haven't used that in so long.
It is a fractal. It's a good catch.
Well, I thought of you when I read that. Like, holy crap, they've been down this road with him.
It's a fractal.
Now, just staying on this for 1 second. Scaramucci, the Scaramouche, was on Bill Maher Friday.
Yeah.
And this show was interesting to watch. He had Stormy Daniels on. He didn't ask anything of any importance except at the end said, you did something important for the country. Like, it's worthy watching just for that one quote from Bill Maher. But Scaramucci is on promoting his book. So Scaramucci for 11 days was the press secretary for Trump. And now this is a couple minutes.
And I believe his sole purpose to be there was to get rid of Reince Priebus. Came in as a hatchet man.
Oh, very possible. Now, what he is going to do in this clip, I mean, he was really, of course, the odd man out. You got Max Boot, who's on the panel, along with Betsy Woodruff, who's from the Daily Beast. She's frightening. She's just like, just ice cold, just piking points and grimacing and eye rolling. And then you got Maher, and then and Scaramucci. And Scaramucci is desperate.
He was on the panel?
He's on the panel.
Oh,
so
that's different.
He's outnumbered. So he's really outnumbered. But what he's trying to do is explain to Bill Maher in particular, but to everybody in the panel, what Trump is doing with the media when it comes to lies. And so, and there's this whole lead in which I had left off of Bill Maher reading all the lies, and everyone's getting like, he lies, he just lies, he's such a liar, thousands of lies, so many lies. And Scaramucci the whole time is trying. Well, let me just explain what's happening. So, because and he actually says, you'll hear it in this clip. If you want to beat him, listen to me. Do you think they listen? By the way.
No.
It's an incredibly important point here to refute what Anthony's trying to say here, which is that, somehow politicians lie and he maybe lies a little bit more. No, this is off the charts lying. This is a blizzard of bullshit he has unleashed on the country. Let me just finish the point.
By the way, in all of these shows, there's a real problem that they're going to have to address pretty soon. You cannot produce a television show where after everything someone says, which is pretty much all virtue signaling, you get 15 seconds of applause. It's annoying as a viewer. They have to figure something out because it makes the clip twice as long.
Quickly here, because a lot of politicians lie a little bit. For Donald Trump, lying is the default mode. According to the Washington Post, he lies an average of 8 times a day. If he tells the truth, it's an accident. Okay,
you're missing the strategy. So that's the thing. So calling him out on it
is a lot like being the hall monitor in the elementary school, calling them out on it, just like
elementary schools need hall monitors.
So we should all in America want to listen because I could really help you. You obviously want to beat the guy, right?
Yes.
Okay, so if you want to listen, I can actually provide some insight.
Go ahead.
Okay? So what he is doing is he is galvanizing his base. He has figured out that by mechanizing these words the way he has and getting you upset and Max upset and having 10 people at CNN read the lies, and I think the Washington Post has them up to 6,000 lies. Let's say it's 10,000 lies.
It's record-breaking anyway.
Okay, let's say it's 50,000. Let me make the point and say it's 50,000. What he's doing is he's got the volume up on something, and he's made it a calculated bet that the people that are voting for him don't care about that, and he's made a calculated bet. Why?
I said right, but what is the alternative? If you're saying don't call him out on the lie,
what did he say in the 60 Minutes thing? He said all of that doesn't matter. We won and they lost. What did he say?
I get that, but what is the alternative to not calling out lies? We all live in a world where we're pretending what the Mad King sees is we all see.
No.
If he says the sky is purple, we don't call him out on that because it'll upset him.
No, it's okay.
What's the strategy?
It's okay to call him out on it, but you see how upset you're getting right now? There's a group of people.
I should be upset. Everybody should be upset.
He's not getting it.
These people are upset. But there's a lot of people in the country that feel they haven't gotten a fair shake from their government.
So if you call them out for the lies, people think you're not being fair? Is that what
you're going to lose again?
And here's what's really important, though. Here's what's really important, though. You're
going to lose again. And when you invite me back after the election and he's won again, I'll explain to you what he did to you.
You've explained it, but it's not really advancing the argument.
At some point,
you don't like the explanation, but that's the strategy, and it's working.
Now, this woman's going to say something, but it's another minute, but I couldn't really take her out because of context, but she's annoying.
At some point in the next 2 years, there's going to be a national crisis. There's going to be some sort of mass casualty event or recession or economic disaster. And the American people will need to know that someone in a position of authority is telling them things that are true. And every time the president tells a ridiculous, mythological, magical, nonsensical lie, yes, there's a defense that you can make from sort of this political Machiavellian perspective. But in the long term, for this country, it's laying the groundwork for
Chicken Little
really
argument.
All right, I'm going to bring out Jonathan.
He's going to wrap it up here.
And it's going to help.
Say what?
He said, if you notice, Mooch comes in and says that's a chicken little argument.
Exactly.
We'll answer the question you're asking, and you're going to like the second half of the show probably a little more than you like the first.
I'm not asking a question. I'm trying to explain to you what he's doing to you, and you're very animated about it, and a lot of people like that. Maybe not these people, but there's a large group of people in middle America that like.
I'm animated because we can't.
We need to be animated about this assault on truth, Anthony.
And we can't even really see. It seems like we can't.
Better strategy, Max, and I can actually give you the playbook.
I know. You keep saying the same thing, but we're not having the same conversation.
Right. Okay. No,
so let's bring out Jonathan.
It's okay.
We're in two different levels. We're like
So Mooch is trying to say Trump. The whole idea is he riles everybody up. And his supporters love watching you blow your top. And he's blowing his top as he's saying that this is dumb.
It's very funny. That's one of the that's an outstanding borderline clip of the day.
Now, Mooch did a good job on that, I thought.
Now, to back up that clip, I have the Jon Stewart on Trump, where he explains what Trump is doing to journalists. Yes, and again, nobody's really paying much attention.
This is Christian Amanpour, and I think he's doing a thing over in London with Dave Chappelle. They're doing some kind of comedy special.
Soaking it in this clip.
So do you think, because obviously we're all caught up in this sort of daily Trump fest. I mean, every single newspaper, every radio station, every bit of social media.
You got to make money too.
Well, it's dissecting.
You got bills to pay, man. You got electric bills. You got food. You know, this guy he's giving you all cash. The cash flow in the Trump era for these TV stations and for these news.
Can I say that might have been an issue, and maybe it still is an issue for the people who are the bean counters, but we, the journalists, I think, believe that our job is to navigate the truth and to do the fact-checking and all the rest of it. So I think that's what motivates a lot of people.
But I think the journalists have taken it personally.
Okay,
they're personally wounded and offended by this man. He baits them, and they dive in. And what he's done well, I thought, is appeal to their own narcissism, to their own ego. Because what he says is and the journalists stand up and say, we are noble, we are honorable, how dare you, sir? And they take it personally. And now he's changed the conversation to not that his policies are silly or not working or any of those other things. It's all about the fight. He's able to tune out everything else and get people just focused on the fight. He's going to win that fight.
Even Bob Woodward said that in his book on the Trump White House that a lot of journalists are too emotional about this. But it's hard for us to be dispassionate when words from the White House are aggressive against us and raise the spectrum of violence against us.
Think of the communities.
No, we're used to it, believe me.
But think of the communities
We've been out there
color.
in the field.
Think of Muslims. Think of the black community.
You know what he's doing? What's happening right here is Jon Stewart is explaining identity politics as it pertains to journalists. He's saying, and he does. I don't think he realizes it, but the identity politics, primarily the Democrat Party, is speaking to LGBTQ community, speaking to the people of color community, speaking to the Latino community, speaking to all these different communities, and now he's literally putting the journalists into a politically identified group
as a hardcore
victim
Democrat. This would be natural to him.
Aggressive against us and raise the spectrum
but you're
of
not
violence
used to it.
against
think
us.
Of the communities.
No, we're used to it, believe me.
But think of the communities.
We've been out there
color.
in the field.
Think of Muslims. Think of the black community. People. When journalists rise to this outrage of how dare you say this about us, think of the lives that they've been leading under this and what they've been put under.
Yeah, I think it's identity politics.
Now, he says a number of things in that I find to be quite interesting. But I'm reminded of the early Trump campaign before he actually was running, but he was starting to run, or maybe it's right after he came down the escalator.
Wait, is that when he said all Mexicans are rapists?
Yeah, that's when he did.
Because that, by the way, is repeated every day. It's not even questioned.
Yeah, nobody cared. That's not a lie.
No, that's not a lie. No, not at all.
So, but anyway, I remember him being interviewed down inside the Grand Central Hyatt by Katie Tur.
Oh yeah,
and he insulted her.
Yes.
We had the clip. He insulted her a number of times. He says, "Well, you're not doing a very good job at it. It's not the right kind of. You want me to help you ask these questions because you apparently don't know what you're doing." Something like that. And then and I think she from there on she just held a grudge and she couldn't get it out of her craw.
Oh, yeah.
And then the next time we saw it that we exploited it on the show.
Was this let's see, was it Katie Tur unloads on Trump over violence at rallies?
No, this was the result.
Before,
I don't think you can find that other clip.
Wait, Katie Tur versus Trump.
Maybe. Let's play it.
It says part 3, so let's see what this is.
Months of flying under the radar and refusing to comment on Trump, Rubio is now attacking, perhaps smelling blood in the water.
That's not it. No. Okay. All right.
Now, anyway, the next one that happened that we put on the show was Major Garrett, who also had this huge hard-on for Trump after this. He insulted him. He says, you maybe should do your job a little better or something, just some minor thing. But you could see that Garrett was insulted. And these journalists are actually the ones who are thin-skinned. And I think Stewart nailed it.
Yes.
I think he nailed it. These guys are all chomping at the bit to get back at Trump and instead of doing their job. And that's what our show is about, doing their job for them.
And you're right. Stewart nails it. He says the way these people must feel, and of course they feel that way because of what the victimization that's being pumped into them, mainly from Democrat politicians. That's hurtful. And so that's what it's like with you guys. And you're not realizing that. Even though he said the fake news is enemy of the people, it is now boiled down to, do you have a press card? You might as well have a target on your head.
And by the way, it was the media itself that, they're worried about Trump's lies, but they're the ones, it's the media that turned it from fake news as the enemy of the people, which is what he said.
In true fake news fashion.
and the media in general didn't like that so much. They wanted to be the enemy of the people because they're the ones who changed it. They
wanted to be the victim.
They wanted to be the victim. There's not one journalist that doesn't know that's a lie. He never said that. So they want to be the victim, and now they're reaping they're the victim, and the victim is always put upon.
Sorry. Yes, fake news.
Fake news. But they so Stuart, I think we always sense this kind of thing. But I'm glad Stuart said this because I don't think we fully realize the horror that these people have put themselves up for.
Themselves.
To listen to Scaramucci lecture them and them get worked up right in front of your very eyes. It's an eye opener.
It's beautiful.
Now we have this guy that I don't remember his name, but he came on Jake Tapper's show, I believe, and Tapper just yes, everything he said. This is a clip that's been going around. Another example of a guy who is completely off the deep end, trying to hold it together. He's an analyst, I believe. I don't have his name here. And he starts going on, and in this very long clip, it's 2:18. You can kill it if you think it's boring. But he gives all the talking points that the Democrats are starting to use. And one of them, which is in here, and I've heard it, it was just done by one of the commentators on CNN. It's done by, which people have clipped for me. There's a bunch of people saying it. Trump is worse than ISIS.
Yes, we know that. It's on the rotation.
He's using ISIS tactics to radicalize the public in general. You know, the right-wing machine is somehow radicalizing everybody into ISIS. Mm-hmm. And to even use that as a comparison, you have to be so hard up. And again, you're talking about Trump. Talk about issues. Talk about the roads. Do something else. But no, they're going to go. This is the direction the Democrats are going.
What we are seeing, just as we saw young, displaced, evil or sick or just plain losers be radicalized by ISIS.
Is evil actually the term evil on the rotation list? I have a feeling.
I don't believe. I don't think so.
Because I've heard this a couple times. Evil.
Yeah, but
evil.
Yeah, but well, I don't think it was just. I'll look at it.
We are seeing the same thing in the United States right now. These two losers, these two sick people, these two evil people, three evil people being radicalized by this right-wing propaganda industry.
Wait, who was the third person?
Oh, Kentucky.
Oh.
And that's exactly what it is. This whole caravan in the last week of the election is a giant lie. This is Trump's Reichstag fire. It is a lie.
Nice.
And that the United States military, the most powerful armed force in the world, would be deployed at a brigade size unit level to the southern border.
You know, I just want to make one, having grown up in the Netherlands, I'm very sensitive to the Nazi stuff because I grew up, oversensitized to that because kids I played with, the grandmothers were home. They had numbers tattooed on their arms. So, this was not brought up, certainly not in this context, but there was kind of a general agreement. We're not going to blame the Jews for anything, but we're not going to blame the Germans or anyone else for the Nazi stuff. And, you can't have, it's in Europe, at least at the time, you couldn't do that. Look, we fought that war. It's done. Everyone step back from it. By the way, in that article, that's how I got to that article about Trump and the press. It was an article that he has a book, and this goes back to 1990, that he has a book of Hitler's speeches next to his bed. So they've been doing this. They've been doing this thing a lot.
Sure, he does.
And of course that later morphed into he has Mein Kampf next to his bed. But anyway, I digress. But this is really unconscionable. I think it's just as bad as calling Jews out as being responsible for anything. It's horrible, but yet it's passable.
To stop this caravan, which is 1,000 miles away and made up of women and children, the insinuations that it's filled with terrorists and Middle Easterners, 40% of the country has opted into an alternate reality. We have to wake up in this country and understand the danger that this presents to all of us. We can't put our heads in the sand. Kellyanne Conway despicably today goes on national television and she said, well, this shooter's motives were because there's an anti-religious sentiment. No, ma'am. The propaganda industry that she commands with the vile president that she serves, abetted by Mark Levin and Rush Limbaugh and Breitbart and Newsbusters and Judicial Watch and all the rest of them.
Man, couldn't we get on that list? They mentioned almost everybody.
Have blood on their hands for the incitements that they have made that have triggered and radicalized these crazy people. It is deliberate in intent. He scapegoats minority populations. He alleges conspiracies. He creates a sense of shared and virtuous victimhood, positions himself as the avenger, and there is no cost too high so long as it benefits his narcissism, so long as it benefits him politically.
Good job. Well signaled. Well, I certainly have something to say about that. Specifically what the cause of these people doing these things is. I have some thoughts, but I'd like to first thank you for your courage and say in the morning to you, John C. Dvorak, where the C stands for Caravan of Love.
In the morning to you, Mr. Adam Curry. In the morning, all the ships at sea, boots on the ground, feet in the air, subs in the water, and all the dames and nights out
in the morning to the troll room, who always see the bat signal appear, and they even tweet to the troll room, and we appreciate y'all showing up here. That is at noagendastream.com. We love having you guys keeping us company. It makes the show that much more exciting. If you do any type of podcast, I would recommend that you try and stream it live while you're recording. The feedback loop is incredibly important. It also makes you feel that you're live, that you're doing something. You get some feedback, and it's I like it very much, and so it's appreciated. Also, I want to say in the morning to Mark G, 2 in a row. We could not live without using this piece of artwork that he created for us for episode 1081.
Didn't Darren do the one before?
No, Mark G.
Okay.
I think. Yeah.
Darren did 1080. That's right.
Yeah. So 1081 Blexit. And the cover art was a Warhol-esque depiction of Trump, and got a lot of
discussion about this.
Yeah, a lot of people liked it. And we liked it too. It's fantastic. And we really appreciated Mark G. Thank you for your courage. He does some Jobs Karma. I think he wanted Jobs Karma. We'll make sure he gets that. And thanks to all of our artists who diligently are uploading art. It's tough sometimes to choose, but you can see all of the artwork at noagendaartgenerator.com. And it's a part of our value network, our value for value system, which I'll just reiterate quickly. We long ago decided, and along the way, our conviction was confirmed that there's really no way to monetize the network. The best way to, I think it from your perspective, John, came from the book publishing model, where people buy the content, and then it's supported by the audience. Now, we have a little different audience. Our audience is producers. They're actively involved with the program, sending us their expertise, their creative work, and also financial. And it's all based on what is the show worth to you. If you're getting something out of it, put something into it. Turns out when you put something into it, you usually get something out of it. Now, I'm not claiming that a jingle with karma can give you a job, but participating in the network has proven to work for a lot of people a lot of the time.
And we also made the determination early on that because of the content that we wanted to do when we started developing the model of news deconstruction, that we couldn't do it with advertising.
No.
And we've seen the example, and we harp on the examples that we see out there that where people were thrown off a network, or the advertisers pulled out and the show folded, or they got pressured.
Well, I ran a whole network funded by venture capital money, and I proved that it cannot be done.
Right. That's where the brand safe moniker comes from, by the way. It was a mantra there. Brand safe advertising. That means you can't really produce what you want to.
Yeah.
No cussing is what it really amounts to.
I got so many notes for a different topic we'll talk about, and one of them was from Naive London Girl. And she had a show about sex, and we had it on Podshow UK, and I remember we had to sometimes obfuscate it from our homepage because some investor would see it. And just investors alone. And then, we're going on a pitch. We're going to pitch some advertising. Oh, take Naive London Girl off the front. Put her somewhere else so they don't see her, because she had a big boob and stuff in her album art. Yeah. Well, it said Naive London Girl on it. But, so, yeah, you really will never reach your potential. And you continue to be a slave. This is why whenever someone says, hey, you want to come do this, do a quick interview on this network, I'm like, no, because I know I'm going to get in there. I'm going to be really disappointed because it's going to be 15 seconds. You're going to ask me something completely stupid, and it's boring. And then we can't even have a discussion because it was time for an ad break. And then it's on to the next. No, it's lame. I couldn't even do it anymore if I wanted to.
So we have this model, and people appreciate it, I think. Especially this week on this show, 1082, Sir Woody appreciates it to the tune of $1,000.
Whoa!
I'm afraid I've been overboard again, he writes, and not caught recent shows, but want to let you know that you're still appreciated. I recently asked to give a keynote at a conference, and your show notes were invaluable.
Ah, good.
Another valuable thing. That, by the way, the show notes are if you're a student.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Go to nashownotes.com, or if you want to search them, bingit.io.
Were invaluable in helping me gather supporting links. It was unpaid, but something I enjoyed a lot and found it rewarding. So in keeping with the value for value model, I figure $1 for each of the 1,000 or so people that were there is a worthy contribution for your support. Hopefully, this is just noise in a tsunami of donations, as you certainly deserve that for the work you do.
Well, Sir Woody, you are the crest of the tsunami, my friend.
Yes.
Thank you so much. That's very, very... I'm going to hit him with a karma, if you don't mind, because... let me see. Where's my karma bucket? Oh, there it is.
You've got karma.
Baron Matt in Melbourne, Australia, $333. Greetings from Baron Matt in Melbourne. Happy 11th anniversary. Intentionally late to buffer the donation doldrums after a big drive. Spending a couple of days in Dimension B recently. No agenda thinking helped me to understand, cope, and even have some fun. Well, I usually find the donation karma finds its way to me regardless. I want to make sure that this one focuses on someone else. Can you send the karma from this donation in the F cancer variety to my brother-in-law, Renzo, who could really do with it? Thank you for your courage, Baron Matt in Melbourne.
Yes, of course we can.
You've got karma.
F that cancer. F it.
Well, we got
Fred Van
Leeuwen.
No, it's Fred van Leeuwen. No, listen. Fred van Leeuwen.
Fred van Leeuwen.
Yes, very
in
good.
Hilversum.
Yeah. Fred wanted to know if there was still going to be a meetup on the 7th or the 9th of November in the Netherlands. It may not happen. I was hoping to come over, but I think before the end of the year, we will be able to do this, I think, but we'll send out a bat signal when it's time.
We need to put together a mailing list for the Hollanders.
Yes. And thank you very much, Fred. Appreciate it.
Yeah, he sent it $267.89. Thank you. Sir Achilles, $262 in Noblesville, Indiana. Sir Achilles, sir, last year I hung up the soccer cleats after rupturing both of my Achilles. Wow.
Damn.
In a 3-year period. I decided to replace soccer with running. Here's 262 in honor of me running in my first marathon, 26.2 miles on Saturday, November 3rd. I did the math and have logged over 400 miles in training over the last 4 months. Darn near all of those miles were spent listening to No Agenda. If I could make a donation to you guys straight from my health savings account, I would. Because you guys and the chiropractor, there's no way I could have made it this far without you guys and the chiropractor.
No.
My son recently joined the Cub Scouts, and I have to say I'm extremely impressed with the entire program. If a listener out there is an elementary-age child, I encourage you to sign them up. It is fun getting to see kids do something besides playing Fortnite and watching YouTubers play Fortnite.
How sick are we?
I want to give a shout out to my brother Eric, since he is the only person in 11 years I have been able to hit in the mouth, but it took the 2016 election to get him hooked. I also want to give a shout out to my wife, who is woke, but sadly doesn't listen and often asks me with maximum disdain. Oh, what do John and Adam think about that?
No, you're not doing it right. No. Okay. Yeah, what do John and Adam think about it?
Maybe. She's in. You got the vocal fry in there. You got to get some fry.
Hey, she's tolerating, so there's hope. There's hope.
Let me try it again.
But you know what it is. She's still trying to connect with her man. With something that she might as well saying, so who was the quarterback? You know, I mean, if she doesn't care about. Yeah, all right.
What do John and Adam think about that? That's more of a boring person.
Yeah,
Never
she's
mind.
an amazing spouse that without her, the marathon wouldn't be possible. So we're just joking around, of course.
Yeah, she's great.
We're just joking around.
If possible, can I get a Stay Woke Karma for the run and the Night Me Baby song? By the way, she doesn't listen to the show, so she's not going to hear that. Night Me Baby song, Night Me Baby, with a talented producer wrote based on my knighting email last year. Thanks for 11 great years. I'm so glad. I thought John was funny on Cranky Geeks and looked for more of his stuff back in 2007.
Night me, baby, send a night ring out here for me. 33. I've been an awful good slave. Night me, baby. Night me on our podcast tonight.
My millennials, stay woke.
You've got karma.
Nailed it.
That was Sir Achilles in Noblesville, Indiana, 262. Sir Finch in Corvallis, Oregon, 23456. And he sent a note. He wrote it in longhand. Very, very. He needs to take some not penmanship, but I would say calligraphy. I was going to give you 1111 for your 11th, but since PayPal glitched 3 times while trying to complete the donation, I figured I'd up the amount to a producer level. Always happy 11th anniversary. Love you guys. Thanks for the laughs and the sanity. Title change, which we do have.
Yes, we have that.
Changes his complex name to a more simple name. Cheers to 11 more. We'll keep this short and sweet since my hand is cramping. Oh, brother.
But he did it.
Yeah, he did. No jingles, no karma.
All right.
Good.
Thank you very much for your courage.
Andrew Cantrell in Womberall, New South Wales, Australia, 22731. A great email. Well, did you get anything?
Go ahead, Johnny. You can find it. Do you have it yet?
No, I just opened it.
You got 20 seconds. He's doing it, ladies and gentlemen. It's the new, old is new again. You want mail, you got squirrel mail. Do you have it?
I have 2 notes from Andy Cantrell. One from May 22nd, 2018, and one from May 27th, 2018, and there's nothing after that.
Oh, damn. Well, I was too busy playing the music. I should look. Who are we looking for?
It's yours. Check it out.
And
you don't have squirrel mail, so you can't play the music.
No, I wish. I'm just not woke. I'm not woke enough. Let me see.
Well, Andrew sent us another note. We'll read it when it comes through.
No, I'm sorry. I see that he shows up in a lot of donation notes for sure, but not a new one.
Onward to Montana May in Blacklick, Ohio. Second on my list to Gnawbone as a great city's name. She wrote a note in, which my reading glasses, I put them aside for the squirrel mail thing. John and Adam. And by the way, her donation was 22222, which is 11111 times 2. I'm a first-time donor, so I believe a de-douching is in order.
Yes.
You've been de-douched.
I'm requesting some research karma from my smoking hot boyfriend. He is a longtime listener who donates via an anonymous monthly subscription. He turned me onto the show 6 months ago when we first started dating. Needless to say, I've been hooked since.
Woohoo!
Like most other note writers, you provide me with some awesome sanity-keeping news analysis, which prevents me from burying my head in the sand to stay sane.
It works.
Anyway, he is a hardworking PhD chemistry candidate who is on his way to a national lab to finish his 5.5-year venture. Maybe some karma from the good folks at the No Agenda will help everything fall into place. Also, congrats, Adam, on the engagement.
Thank you.
I thought the proposal was on point.
Thank you.
It is. If it's not pushing my requesting luck, please play the Foamer clip.
Oh.
Nothing so simple has given me as many laughs as Foamer Boy losing it. Thank you, and keep up the amazing work. Best, Montana May.
Oh, my God! Woo! Listen to that horn!
You've got karma.
Did you see Dame Tanya tweeted? She was getting on the train with the observation deck.
Yeah.
You've created a whole new foamer out of her.
Good.
Dame Foamer Tanya. Yeah, and she tweeted, "Oh my God, listen to that horn." It's taken on a life of its own.
People are starting to appreciate the great railways of the past and the current. And New York's got lots of trains you can take every which way.
Yes.
Commuters mostly, but they're still trains. That was Montana. John Klen, I think Klenny or Klen, Klene in Cincinnati, Ohio, $200. No jingles, no karma. And that wraps up our executive and associate executive producer segment for show 1082.
Yes, and thank you all so much. These credits, as always, are real. So if you're an executive producer or an associate executive producer, you can put that anywhere credits are recognized, and you are the executive producer of episode 1082 of the No Agenda Show, best podcast in the universe. If anyone questions you, let us know. We'll gladly vouch for you. And look forward to thanking more people, $50 and above, in our second segment. Another show on the way on Sunday. Please remember us at
Dvorak.org/NA.
Yeah, we're helping you keep your sanity, so why don't you go out there and propagate the formula?
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Order.
Shut up, slave.
Shut up, slave.
So I want to talk for a second about, people, going crazy, and they're on the social media and they're killing people, and this came to a head with the Squirrel Hill synagogue shooter, and we discussed it. I think as we were talking about it on Sunday, Gab.ai, was it Gab.io or Gab, the social network Gab?
Yeah, Gab
was as they call it, no platformed, which includes taking them, it's basically it's the cabal of technology, where you have you have all your little bits and bobs, and you have your DNS, and if your DNS provider, because it's so outrageous that they would provide DNS lookup for you because I don't know, you're associated with Jew haters and whatever else the media throws on you, and killers and crazy people and just nut jobs. So they'll say, oh, we're not going to provide that for you, and then we're your hosting provider, and then PayPal, and so these guys basically got wiped out. And I would say no matter what you do, if you have anything centralized, and certainly if their model is not advertising, but if your model is advertising, there's a lot of problems. But first, I want to just hear NPR talking about Gab after the synagogue attack.
Gab is a site that proudly promotes free speech. It boasts that it lets anyone say anything, but it's been controversial.
And I do want to point out that in this interview they did with the founder of Gab, he posted the whole, it's very typical. They called, this woman actually called him. He recorded the whole conversation. It was about 15 minutes. And most of what he was saying is, we adhere strictly to the First Amendment. So if you incite hate, where if someone reports it, we take you down. But we're not policing everything, and only if it comes to a reportable event, then we'll take that down. And we've worked tirelessly with law enforcement. We have a whole record of this guy. We gave everything. None of that is in the interview Of course.
Critics have called it a home for anti-Semites and white nationalists. Robert Bowers was
I like that unattributed critics. That's pretty nasty when I think about it. Critics have called it a home for white nationalists. Well, could you tell me one critic maybe who calls it that? Or do you have someone there?
Semites and white nationalists. Robert Bowers was a user. Before allegedly going on a killing spree, he posted about the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, a group that supports refugees. He said the group, quote, likes to bring invaders that kill our people. I can't sit by and watch my people get slaughtered. Screw your optics. I'm going in. Andrew Torba is the CEO of Gab. In an interview with NPR, he defended the platform.
I don't know. Do you see a direct threat in there? Because I don't. What would you expect us to do with a post like that? You want us to just censor anybody that says the phrase, I'm going in? Is that what you're proposing here?
Well, I
think that's absurd. And here's the thing. The answer to bad speech or hate speech, however you want to define that, is more speech. And it always will be.
When does online free speech become a threat? This isn't the first time the issue has come up in social media. Just last week, it came to light that the man accused of sending explosive devices to prominent Democrats in the media had a history of threatening tweets. Torba says Gab follows strict rules, including no threats. He says he created Gab because he saw no room for conservative points of view on social media. Take Twitter.
There are thousands upon thousands of people calling for someone to kill Donald Trump, saying they're going to kill Donald Trump. Expressing hate towards white people, towards Christians, towards minorities who may now support Donald Trump. They allow hate to be spewed at certain groups and certain people.
So where is the line between free speech and inciting violence?
I think the line is where free speech becomes a threat.
Kelly McBride is a senior vice president at the Poynter Institute for Media Studies. She says Torba is prioritizing free speech above all other constitutional values.
And that is not necessarily what our constitutional framers intended, right? They didn't want the government curbing free speech.
Nor did they want citizens to be irresponsible with their speech, she says. Last year, Google banned Gab's app. Apple rejected it, and Microsoft terminated its agreement with it last month.
I didn't even know all that was going on.
Just in the last 24 hours, at least 2 web hosting platforms have suspended Gab. CEO Andrew Torba is not backing down.
We're not going anywhere.
Torba says Gab condemns the shooting, but he thinks it's now being targeted unfairly. Over the weekend, the social media site was filled with anger, some of it directed at the Jewish community.
Great. So Gab is immediate, because it's for free speech, is immediately alt-right Jew haters, crazy people. And a lot of what is going on is blamed on President Trump and the rhetoric. But I think I'm developing a theory, and I want your feedback on it, John, because I'm putting a lot of things together. And it really started a couple days ago. There was this, I don't know if it was a tweet or someone said, hey, check and see if you're shadow banned. And of course, we've talked about shadow banning. I'm like, well, let me see what this is. So I didn't have to enter my password or make it an app or anything. I just entered your Twitter username. And I couldn't understand the results that were coming back. It was like one of those, hosted at in a / directory on someone's university account, you know what I mean? Where it's basically .htm almost, it's like a Perl script running somewhere. And what it was spitting back was not it had a number of posts, like the last 10 posts, not shadow banned, but then had stuff that would say 6 people saw it, 3 people saw it, then 130%. Very odd. And it dawned on me, I finally figured out what was happening, what this so-called shadow banning is. This is really the algorithm that Twitter uses, and I'm going to assert that it's the same algo that Facebook uses. Now, there's no algo on, for instance, Reddit, and the algorithm on Instagram is a little different. But when it comes to pure, and I'm just going to keep it Twitter to make it easy. What the algorithm does is if you post a tweet and let's say you get 8 responses. The so-called shadow banning is really what the replies are coming back, which if you look at your Twitter timeline, everything is kind of the same weight and design. It's like tweets kind of are as big as your own original tweet. The algorithm is deciding which of the replies it's going to surface. So, you'll see your original tweet and it's like a reply, and then there may be 7 more underneath there. And so this is where kind of this, I got shadow banned. I'm trying to tweet to you, but you're not seeing it. People aren't seeing it. This is what the actual algo does. And it makes sense, coming from the RSS world. I was a part of that very early on, and, and everyone had Google Reader, and, you could, with your blogs, go back and forth, but people weren't freaking out on each other. I mean, this goes back to Usenet, if I may be so bold as to raise that. Usenet, there was a lot of vitriol, a lot of hate. There was a lot of moderation, and this is where Goodwin's Law came from the old Godwin's Law, the old bulletin boards. But it was not the same nuttiness that we're seeing on Twitter. And I was reading an article about, if you remember that Microsoft, they had that Tay, the AI chatbot, that it was on the web for 24 hours.
That was recently, yeah.
Yeah, 24 hours, and then they had to take it down because all it was doing was tweeting like, Hitler was right, kill all the Jews, and just insane stuff. But here's what I think I understand about what's going on. And in fact, here's what they say. Microsoft said the AI chatbot Tay is a machine learning project designed for human engagement. As it learns, some of its responses are inappropriate and indicative of the types of interactions some people are having with it. We're making some adjustments to Tay, and the thing never came back. Because I believe that this magical algorithm that is used for engagement, so let's understand that on Twitter, the algorithm has one job. And because we know the goal, we can reverse engineer what's going on. The goal is to create inventory. Every single time you click on something, a new page or something appears, but it really is an advertising inventory. You agree with that?
I'm not going to disagree with it.
Well, so the algorithm doesn't know.
What I think you're doing is you're taking ownership of Twitter, and this is how you're reverse engineering something to make money. This is how you do it.
Yeah, and this, of course, is the fallacy. This is the problem with Twitter, is because of their model. Their model is advertising. Advertising needs inventory. It needs what they call engagement. So engagement is created by the algorithm. How does the algorithm do it? It doesn't know what you don't like. It only knows what you have clicked on, and it takes that as a 1. It's only a 1 or a 0. Maybe one day when they flip on your webcam, they can see what part of the page you're looking at, and you looked at it, but you didn't click on it. But they really don't. Just like Tay, all they have is what the user is giving it. The algo's entire job is to find something else that will make you click it, thinking you like it. But here's the thing. Just like Tay, we as humans, we get off. I mean, it's physiologically proven. I don't have to, dredge up what scientists are saying about all kinds of pulses you get and all kinds of dopamine hits when you get something. Making something pissed off, whether it's a person or whether it's a chatbot, is what we love. We can't help ourselves. We're anonymous. It's kind of the ultimate game. What's on the line? Well, your job, your reputation, your friends, your family, with whatever you say. It's kind of risky to go on there, but you can make, just like what Scaramouche was saying, the whole idea is to piss the other side off. And so the algorithm doesn't understand. It has no, when someone, it's machine learning. Bullshit. It doesn't have emotions. It doesn't understand what anger is. It has no idea. All it's doing is just, you want this? I'm giving you more of that, giving you more of that. Now, when this takes place, to me, it should be labeled like alcohol, because social networks are fine. And I don't know what Gab was doing, if they had an algorithm or not.
Doubtful.
So, like No Agenda Social is just a straight up, reverse chronological order feed. And there's nothing there to try and give you stuff to make you post more because you're pissed off. So when this happens, and this is what Professor Ted Kaczynski said, there's this over-socialization that takes place. And this is also part of the swearing. I'm noticing more people on the left saying fuck. And the reason why is they need to let something out. When you say, fuck, I mean, I can feel it. Your pupils get dilated, your pores open up. There's a whole physiological thing that happens. And it's a release of tension. That's why they're doing it. So we're so over-socialized, you can't say anything. And then you just start yelling at each other. The algo keeps spinning it up. And at a certain point, you pop off. And you go nuts, and I guarantee you we're going to see a lot more of it. And I'm not against algorithms. We can't stop what's going on, but it should at least be labeled as dangerous to your health, because this is what's creating the violence in real life, is the algorithm on advertising-based social networks. Because you don't hear someone from Reddit necessarily getting all nuts. You don't hear... Now, Instagram also has an algorithm, but they have designed it differently, where the context is a picture and the comments, sure, there can be 5,000 comments of people yelling, but it doesn't show up in your feed. It only shows a few. It's hidden. It's much smaller. It's down below. That thing is an advertiser's dream. That's working very well. You don't hear people from Instagram killing people. No, it's Twitter or Facebook. And I'm convinced this algorithm is bull crap, is just as stupid. They can't make it any better. The machine doesn't know and has no incentive to give you calm and collected, lovely stuff. No, that's not what we want.
Okay, I think these guys are on drugs.
Well, there's a reason why Twitter limits their characters to now it's 240. They don't want to give anybody too much supply.
With Facebook, you can run into those long posts, which you used to read. And I wish somebody would provide us with some of these posts, because you're not going to go back.
You know what it reminds me? Sorry to interrupt. Do you remember Snow Crash? Neil Stephenson's book about the metaverse?
Yeah.
And it was very analogous to today. When did it came out? In the 90s, I think. And the metaverse was this network, and instead of getting on a web browser, you put on your VR goggles, and it was, rendered, and you were in there. And the only people on the street were delivery for Domino's Pizza, because they won the franchise wars, and electric hoverboards, very analogous to the damn scooters we got everywhere. And everyone's in these networks, in these rooms, but then you could get too much of it, and then you got this drug. They actually called it was kind of a drug, which was some code. And then people would actually freak out in real life in front of their screens. They would either freeze or die or go do something crazy. And it was called Snow Crash. And I think this is what's happening in a way. People it's in their heads. They have nowhere to go. They can't say anything. They go over stuff. They just like swearing. Some people are susceptible. Oh, by the way, throw in some Adderall, some other amphetamine or meth products. You got a great combination here.
Thanks for that enlightening analysis.
So death is right around the corner for everybody.
We're all doomed. We're all
for everybody. Die. Exactly. So Hillary Clinton. Everyone saw the video of her being racist.
Do we have to talk about this?
Yes, I do.
And I'm not going to say we shouldn't talk about it, but I think you and I are in agreement.
Well, I'd like to play
this, if you can make it short.
I'd just like to play it in context for everybody, because that's exactly what I was talking about earlier.
Yeah, play it.
All right. So this is what she actually said, and how the conversation.
Well, wait, stop. We got to have some background.
That's what I want to do, but you want me to make it short, so I'm rushing along now.
Set up. Let me set it up. Hillary Clinton said to somebody casually, it's because all blacks look alike. So the right wing went crazy. And everybody's pointing the finger at her as being a racist hypocrite.
Also, it was clipped out of context.
Yeah, it was clipped. But so we'll play the whole thing, and then we'll mention that, geez, if you're going to have one guy on one side that's just joking, clowning around constantly, saying stuff like this, why don't they give Hillary the same break? She does have a sense of humor.
And these are two women who know each other very well. They. In fact, just was it here? Was that just a quickie? Oh yeah, here it is. This is just at the very beginning, before they were started, just to set the scene as to what this crowd is about and who was hooting and hollering in the audience.
It's Kara Swisher.
Okay, yeah, Kara Swisher from Recode Decode.
I take it seriously, and it's going to take a while to work through our families and our workplaces, our societies.
Yeah, it's hard. I have 2 sons, and they tried to drive me off the sidewalk the other day because they own the sidewalk, you know.
Yeah,
you know,
and you found yourself on the edge, right?
Right, and then I shoved the crap out of them. As you know, my theory that all men should be raised by lesbians and then moved back to the general population. Such good men. And they're really good at sports then. Okay, so are the Democrats...
So, she hates her own boys because they have penises. She said it. I shove them away. They got to teach these kids, these horrible little boys.
Well, I mean, this to me was actually more... in a subtly offensive way. Offensive.
Yes, I agree.
Than what Hillary said. But okay, well, let's Kara
But here's 2 people who know each other. They're joking. And Hillary is clearly making a joke about Donald Trump, who would be racist. And these 2, they meet, they talk, they've talked before. So when you hear it all in context, you understand that it's a joke. But she does say something weird, which was... What?
I was going to say, do you think they kiss?
Look, she, as far as I'm concerned, she had a back brace sewn into that jacket of hers. I don't know what's going on with her. And she's not getting the $10,000 makeover at Pierre's in France anymore. But but it's interesting what she said as a kicker to this whole joke.
And I don't want to go around insulting people. I don't want to paint with a broad brush. Every immigrant is this, every African American is that, every, other person
deplorable
with, different religious beliefs or whatever.
Yeah.
That's childish.
What do you think of Cory Booker's? And you didn't comment on him, and you feel free.
Oh, I adore him.
What do you think about him saying kick them in the shins, essentially? Start to get to that kind of political.
Well, that was Eric Holder.
Yeah, Eric Holder,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know they all look alike.
No, they don't. Oh, well done. Hillary.
Yeah, I was paid by Mark Zuckerberg to do that.
Okay.
What? I was paid by Mark Zuckerberg to say that? What does that mean?
I'm wondering myself.
Is that
a clip? But I never played it that far where that line came in.
Is that a Jew versus Schwarza thing? Because to me it was like
maybe that could be like an anti-Semitic.
That's how I took it.
The whole thing reeks of a subtext that is just gross.
Well,
you have the lesbian subtext, you got the man-hating subtext, you got the blacks or subtext, you got the Jewish subtext with Zuckerberg. You got the social media subtext. You got these 2 subtext. I mean, the whole thing stinks.
I was paid by Mark Zuckerberg to do that.
Okay. Can I just say?
No.
Can I just say you've been reading Trump's tweets beautifully?
Yeah. Thank you.
So that's the big joke. Is like Trump apparently doesn't see the difference between one brown guy and the other brown guy.
Oh yeah, sure.
That's
he's
never
never seen one before. Now, the Zuckerberg comment the way she said it to me was an inside joke to a subgroup of people that we're not part of.
Nope.
To say the least. But we're not part of whatever group that was joking about. I don't know. If anybody out there can deconstruct that joke, we'd be interested.
I have to be. Sadly, I immediately thought, what is this, a Jew versus blacks thing, which is another stereotypical comparison. So I do think it's important to listen to. The truth always wants to come out. Again, just a little clip of her maybe running is much longer, and she really unveils her entire strategy and when she's going to decide, which goes beyond what was clipped. And if you find it too boring, we'll get rid of it. But I thought it was like, wow, she really is just telling everyone what she's going to do under the guise of, well, maybe not. But it was so obvious.
We're going to talk about 2020 in a minute. Do you want to run again?
No.
Wait.
No.
That was a pause.
Well, I'd like to be president.
Okay.
Look, I think, hopefully, when we have a Democrat in the Oval Office in January of 2021.
Now, she's already thinking about herself.
There's going to be so much work to be done. I mean, we have confused everybody in the world, including ourselves. And we have confused our friends and our enemies. Right. They have no idea what the United States stands for, what we're likely to do, what we think is important. So the work would be work that I feel very...
By the way, when she said, I think she's also just like, she almost, I think she feels, I shouldn't have to run. I should just become the president because I've been through so much. That's kind of what she said. Like, I want to be president. Just the running part is, can't we just anoint me?
Very well prepared for. Having...
Don't you think there's something in there?
I'm in total agreement on that thesis.
Okay, now I'm going to back it up because now she switches to from the someone to her.
Including ourselves. And we have confused our friends and our enemies. Right. They have no idea what the United States stands for, what we're likely to do, what we think is important. So the work would be work that I feel very well prepared for, having been in the Senate for 8 years, having been a diplomat in the State Department. And it's just going to be a lot of heavy lifting.
So are you going to be doing any of that lifting? Do you feel like...
Oh, I have no idea, Kara, but I'm going to... I'm not going to even think about it until we get through this November 6th election about what's going to happen after that. But
now listen to what she's saying. I'm not even going to think about it. So she already said this. I got to do a lot of work, but I'm not going to think.
And before she ran in 2016, if you remember, she did the same kind of song and dance long enough to collect a lot of money that she didn't have to use for the campaign.
Which is a part of this 13-city tour they'll be doing right after the midterms.
Yeah, there's money involved.
Of course there's money involved. So
I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure we have a Democrat in the White House come January of 2020.
So now just to reiterate, she said, I'm going to wait and see what happens during the midterm. And then, in other words, if she's going to run, but I'm going to make sure that there's a Democrat in the White House.
And who among... We're going to talk about your role in that in a second, but who among them are you interested in?
Well, I know everyone who's running or thinking of running or possibly running. But, there's always that period between, hey, that sounds like a really good idea, and then trying to actually think it through, see if it is the right thing for you to do, see if you can raise the money.
She is now discouraging everyone, and I'm going to roll it back a little bit. What she's saying here is if, really no matter what happens, but let's say the Democrats don't take the House, then it's going to be so hard. It's going to be really rough. You got to think about your family. I don't know if you can do this. There's only really one person who can do this who has the skin thick enough.
Running or possibly running. But, there's always that period between, hey, that sounds like a really good idea, and then trying to actually think it through, see if it is the right thing for you to do, see if you can raise the money, all of the questions that go into it. So I'm not going to handicap the race before anybody actually gets into it. I think we'd have enough.
So she literally said, I'm not going to handicap the race before anybody gets into it. So I'm not going to announce, I'm going to let some schmucks come up first. So I can tell them you're never going to make it because I know how to do it. I know where the money is.
Number of excellent candidates who would be really formidable on the campaign trail. But let's wait and see who it is. I mean, we may have as many as 15, 20 candidates. And, that's a big group to try to sort itself out. And I'm just going to wait and watch it happen.
Do you have anyone
see what schmucks show up?
Yeah. Interested in?
Wait, what'd she say here? I forgot. It's filled with gems like this.
20 candidates. And, that's a big group to try to sort itself out. And I'm just going to wait and watch it happen.
Do you have anyone you're particularly interested in?
No, there are a number of excellent potential candidates.
No, listen. There's a number of excellent potential candidates.
Look, first of all, if we don't win on November 6th... I'm
going to start naming names and see what you're saying.
No, okay, if you want to. But
all right, I will.
But if we don't win...
I'm going to.
But if we don't win on November 6th, honestly, I mean, I know this sounds far-fetched, but this administration, if they continue to control all branches of government and they have been stocking the courts with ideologues, you will find that it will be much more difficult to run.
She's literally telling people, step out of the way, I can do it.
And people who have never had to face the fire, once they get out there and they start being the target of the vitriol and hatred that comes against anybody who criticizes Trump, that's going to cause a number of people to do a bit of soul searching. So I think we've got to give everybody who is thinking.
And by the way, she didn't literally say it. I'm sorry.
Thinking about it, or even people who wake up on November 7th. And
Kicker's coming. Oh, wait. Yeah, here's the kicker. Last 30 seconds. And then you'll like the end here. Oh, come on. What are you doing?
Anybody who criticizes Trump, that's going to cause a number of people to do a bit of soul searching. So I think we've got to give everybody who is thinking about it, or even people who wake up on November 7th and start thinking about it, we've got to give them, the space to make what is a really serious calculation, depending upon what the political
situation is. Can we talk a little bit
is.
individually, and then I want to get to Saudis and some.
So she pretty much just said, I know everyone really well. They're all going to have to think about it real hard, especially if we don't. She knows that. I think she sees the writing on the wall as a chance that they will not take the House. So, but that doesn't happen. I mean, if it does happen, it's great. But if it doesn't happen, you got to think real hard. You really want to do that. And now Kara Swisher is going to mention some names.
Warren.
What?
Warren. Elizabeth Warren.
Oh, Elizabeth's a great,
Warren, what? Elizabeth. Yeah, she's great. Yeah, she's fabulous. She's only thinking about herself, and she is running.
Of course she is.
I know, but no one picks up on the subtleties. It's never analyzed.
This is true. But I don't think it needs to be, and I don't think anyone's analyzing because everyone knows she's running. What's to analyze?
Well, that's true. That's true.
It's almost like beating a dead horse. It's like, oh, she's running. Wow, stop the presses.
She was a little too happy about the AI conversation that she had with Kara.
How would you encourage the government to handle AI? Just a few more, and then I know you have to go.
Wow, we could talk about this for a long time.
Go ahead, Hillary.
Yeah, no.
It's got the crowd. I think they don't mind hearing from you.
Yes, I think... one of the things I wanted to do if I had been president was to delve deeply into what we have to do about AI. I mean, if you follow the debate between people who are quite knowledgeable about technology, it's like split right down the middle. There are those who think it's good.
When you think of AI, what kind of things do you think of? What kind of applications? Because she's not, you'll see, she's not talking about AI.
I think AI is a crock.
Going to be the demise of the human race, and those who think it's going to be, the greatest breakthrough for the human race.
She's not really talking about AI.
We need to figure out, which is which, and are there plans we should make that would try to rein in some of the AI before it is unloosed on the world? Now,
did she say unloosed?
She said unloosed.
Is that?
She meant unleashed or loosed. I don't know what she meant.
Figure out,
but she said unloosed.
Which is which, and are there plans we should make that would try to rein in some of the AI before it is unloosed on the world? Now, other countries are moving very fast ahead. China being the best example.
Well, okay, I'll kill it, but let me tell you the glee that she speaks about. The Chinese social network tracking and penalty and reward system, she speaks about it with great glee.
Yeah, she probably would like to implement it.
She really wants it.
A lot of people do.
And she referenced, did you see this clip of the Chinese bullet train, which I'm not sure if it's a hoax or not.
Well, you don't know because we don't speak Chinese and subtitles.
Right. Well, it's 20 seconds. So this is on the bullet train, apparently, from Beijing to Shanghai, and this comes on the...
I believe it's a hoax, by the way.
I think it's a hoax, too. This comes on the public address system.
Dear passengers, people who travel without tickets or behave disorderly or smoke in public areas will be punished according to regulations, and the behavior will be reported in individual...
You can't hear it?
You can barely hear it. I don't believe I don't believe a word of it.
Yeah, so what it says is if you are caught without a ticket, it'll go on your social score. That can give you penalties. You may not be allowed to travel on the train. And I'm like,
all in English for some
reason. Yeah, I mean, I'm like, but she refers to this clip. interestingly.
Yeah, I'm sure she's suckered by more than a few of these things.
Mm-hmm.
All right, a couple of things. I do have a deconstructed clip, which I just thought this is a. Well, first let's do a little change of pace clip. First of all, I have a ISO of Erdogan pronouncing Khashoggi.
Okay. As it turns out, I have another pronunciation guide for us. Well, this is Al Sharpton's version.
Jamal Khashoggi.
Khashoggi. And you have an ISO. Who's pronouncing it?
Erdogan.
Jamal Khashoggi.
Well, interesting, because Chef Clary sent his, I think his business partner who's Arabic, and here's how he pronounced it.
Say it.
Khashoggi. So it's pretty close to Erdogan's version.
Erdogan sounds pretty similar.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Jamal Khashoggi.
Khashoggi. But he says Khashoggi.
Say it.
Khashoggi.
Jamal Khashoggi.
Well, Sharpton's not that far off, actually.
Jamal Khashoggi.
Damn. Wait a minute. Al is doing it just like Erdogan. Hold on.
Jamal Khashoggi. Jamal Khashoggi.
Well, pretty close. Who knew?
We're mocking him.
We should no more mocking. A shit show. Very nice.
So I'm watching this. This was from about a month ago, or not quite, but maybe 3 weeks ago, when Alex Jones was on the Joe Rogan show.
Oh, it was a while ago, wasn't it?
It wasn't. It was
months ago. Well, okay.
I think it was months, but it was within recent memory.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody picked up on this particular little sub-segment here, which is when he plays Alex Jones on the Joe Rogan show, the alien.
Who's got him?
Oh.
All right, let me give you my best deep research approximation. Are you ready? Yes. I'm going to give you the big enchilada. Joe, there are aliens in this room right now. For real? Yeah, you're not of this world, bro. Me? You're the alien. Oh, wow, I didn't know. Well, here's what the elite believe. And let me be very clear, because the media will take this out of context. I only go with what I can prove. Oh, thank you. And people can't even handle that.
I don't know. All I do know is that after he told him that, Rogan, I think jokingly, came down to the microphone and made some sort of weird noise, like a lizard would.
Is that in the beginning of this clip?
It's when as soon as he says it.
Let me hear.
He says, "Oh," as soon as he says it, and then Rogan says, "Oh, I didn't know," and then he makes that sound. I don't know if you can catch it.
Let me hear.
Who's got him? All right, let me give you my best deep research approximation. Are you ready? Yes. I'm going to give you the big enchilada. Joe, there are aliens in this room right now. For real? Yeah, you're not of this world, bro. Me? You're the alien. Oh, wow, I didn't know. Well, here's what the elite believe. And let me be very clear, because the media will take this out of context.
Right there.
He's a lizard.
Yeah, lizard.
Yes. Yes is uncontrolled lizard sound.
Yeah.
Let's hear it again.
And let me be very clear, because the media will take this out of context.
Whoa. Well, there goes all invites for the Joe Rogan show. Well done, Joe.
Yeah, you're not of this world, bro.
Anyway.
You're the alien. Oh.
Now, I do have a ISO of just for the end of the show possibility.
Yes, that's.
Yeah, you're not of this world, bro. Me? You're the alien.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, there are no other ISOs, so I think you win it.
No. Okay. Good.
That's very good. Very good.
All right. Anyway, I want to get back to this one thing where I deconstruct. This is it's starting to get really pathetic on Democracy Now.
Yeah.
And so they're running these strange stories. And there's one, the Federalist Society had Jeff Sessions at a Boston meeting. And the Federalist Society is the one who's pretty much calling the shots on who Trump picks as a judge.
Now, what are they, just like some kind of think tank? What do they do?
Nah, it's a conservative think tankish, like
drinking club.
Drinking club, exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
And so he's giving a speech, and two people call him out, both black ministers from the area, and they play it a funny way. But there's a little piece of propaganda in here, which I just found just a little.
Oh, you made the alien sound that Joe Rogan makes.
No, but he did it by exhaling.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
Doing that.
Whew, got me scared for a second.
Yeah.
You're the alien, bro.
Then I can't even do that sound he did. This is but listen to this before. This is Sessions heckled in Boston.
In Boston, Massachusetts, Attorney General Jeff Sessions was interrupted by two religious leaders at a Federalist Society event Monday where Sessions was speaking about religious freedom. United Methodist pastor Will Green stood up and recited biblical verse before appealing to Sessions directly.
Brother Jeff, as a fellow United Methodist, I call upon you to repent, to care for those in need, to remember that when you do not care for others, you are wounding the body of Christ.
Jeff Sessions responded to the pastor by saying thank you for those remarks and attack. A second pastor, Darrell Hamilton of the First Baptist Church in Boston, then stood up to speak but was booed by other attendees and quickly removed by security.
Now, I couldn't quite hear what the pastor was saying.
Oh, he's just telling me he's a jerk.
Oh, okay. All right.
The thing here is that it's the First Baptist Church of Jamaica Plains is the church that the second guy came from. Mm-hmm. But she didn't want to say the First Baptist Church of Jamaica Plains, I believe, because it doesn't have the authority of the First Baptist Church in Boston, which is what she said. And it's dishonest.
Surprise, surprise. Why do you watch that anymore?
Because it's like I can get some of these great bits because she fluctuates from, it's really a dishonest show. For a journalistic endeavor, it's quite remarkable. So I can't keep my eyes.
Yeah, I understand. I totally understand.
Meanwhile, they also reported and smeared Steve King on Democracy Now! With a two-parter here.
Steve King is the congressman?
I think he's a senator from Iowa or...
King is in New York, I thought, wasn't he?
No, you're thinking of Peter King.
Oh, right, okay, wrong King.
Yeah, different King.
Congressmember Steve Stivers blasted Iowa Congressmember Steve King on Twitter Tuesday, saying Congressman Steve King's recent comments, actions, and retweets are completely inappropriate. We must stand up against white supremacy and hate in all forms, and I strongly condemn this behavior. The tweet came as corporate supporters of Steve King, including Land O'Lakes and Purina Pet Care, as well as Intel, said they would no longer fund King's campaigns. Congressmember King recently endorsed far-right Canadian Faith Goldie for Toronto mayor and has amplified racist and anti-immigrant posts on social media, including publishing a racist tweet in support of far-right Dutch politician Geert Wilders last year. Last week, it was reported King met with a neo-Nazi Austrian group during an August trip that was funded by a Holocaust memorial nonprofit. King later told the Washington Post if they were in America pushing the platform they push, they would be Republicans.
It was everybody in Austria is a Nazi, I guess.
Well, no,
so it's kind of smeared him there, but it gets a little better in the second clip.
Until last year, Congressman King displayed a Confederate battle flag on his desk in the Capitol Hill office. King is up for re-election, is polling just 1 point ahead of his Democratic challenger, J.D. Scholten, in a district that Trump won in 2016 by 27% margin.
Okay, it wasn't a Confederate battle flag. It was one of those state flags. Right. It's like he visits the state, he gets a flag. He's got a little collection of little flags from different states.
Gosh.
This is really pathetic.
Well, this whole, if I remember the kid I grew up with, Hans, we were like 9. And we were in contact for years and years and years. But I hadn't seen him in the flesh. And when Tina and I were in Amsterdam, I don't know, a year or 2 years ago, he came. He was living in Spain. He came up and he said, well, Adam, you're a Republican. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm not a Republican. Well, you are. I said, I hear how you speak. So, you're probably racist. Now, he's my friend, so he can say that. He's gay, which made it even funnier. And this meme of, in America, Republicans are racist is very deep-rooted. I mean, it's been so hammered into everybody's... I don't want to spend too much time on this, but we had a conversation on the last show, and I said, I'd like to know from the black producers mainly, and we have a few, luckily, if you were taught this magical switch back in the 60s between the Republican and Democrat Party, I've tallied up, and I probably got like 50 responses. Really, the black responses were maybe only 5, but there were some Mexican in there. And I'd say 95%, although no one can remember it being in their history books, can remember coming away from school believing that there had been some switch when the Democrats and Republicans switched and the racists sneakily went to the Republican Party. Which is interesting because, there's two sides. But some people say, I think it might have been the politicians switched or maybe the voters switched. But in general, most people said, yeah, I think that's how I was taught it. Did you see any of this? Did anyone send you any notes? You were copied on a few of them.
A couple of notes. Yeah. Again, they're undocumented. It's kind
of vague. No, but these are just their own experiences. So it's just completely, you're right. It's undocumented, but it's important for the reason that you have this block. That's why Candace Owens is being pushed so hard by the Trump administration and Kanye. Anything they can do to break the concept for Black America that they can only be saved by the Democrat Party is definitely culturally ingrained. And so removing just 5% of that, 10% would probably really ruin the whole voting, everything for the Democrat Party. And it dawned on me.
Unless they run a black person. The blacks do vote they vote as a race.
Yes. And so then all of a sudden I understood this, what the phrase is so tired, comprehensive immigration reform. How long have we heard that? A decade, 20 years? We've heard this forever. And suddenly I realized what it's about. And that's from one of our producers who's Mexican, who said, I believed that the Republicans were racist when I came here with my parents. I have learned it's different. My parents definitely still believe Republicans are racist. And if you have a population in the United States of 10, 15, 20, it's somewhere, conservative estimates 10, on the other side 22 million illegal aliens, the concept is comprehensive immigration reform can only happen, that's why there's no wall, you can only get that if you make those people legal. Because you do that in one fell swoop, you have 20 million Democrat voters. That's why there will never be any immigration reform, because that is purely the issue.
I think this has been discussed to death. Everyone knows this.
Well, but maybe I'm just slow.
I don't think so. I think you know this too. I don't know.
No, I didn't realize that it's not about new people coming in. See, that I was a little confused. Like, well, they just want voters to come. That's why they come across the border. But no one ever really talks about one law could, pretty much put the Republicans out of business forever. That's not really discussed that way. But
the Republicans can get. There's younger Latino voters that vote Republican. Floridians vote Republican.
Sure. But of course, there's also a percentage of blacks.
The ones that moved into Arizona and California,
they're going to vote
Democrat
right.
because they've been sold a bill of goods.
I do have a professor of political science from Vanderbilt University who, in one fell swoop, can explain the 3 myths of the switch if you're interested. I know it annoys you, but maybe we can just round off the topic. We'll never have to revisit it.
Well, no, we'll be revisiting it for a while because people keep writing in.
Once upon a...
Oh. Okay.
My concern is, how long is this clip?
It's 3 minutes. Well, it's just worth listening to because
I mean, is it different than what Dinesh D'Souza said?
Yes.
Okay, I'll play it.
I think it's because she really explains the whole breadth and more of what you were saying than what I was saying, actually.
Once upon a time, every student of history, and that meant pretty much everyone with a high school education, knew this. The Democratic Party was the party of slavery and Jim Crow, and the Republican Party was the party of emancipation and racial integration. Democrats were the Confederacy, and Republicans were the Union. Jim Crow Democrats were dominant in the South, and socially tolerant Republicans were dominant in the North. But then, in the 1960s and 70s, everything supposedly flipped. Suddenly, the Republicans became the racists, and the Democrats became the champions of civil rights. Fabricated by left-leaning academic elites and journalists, the story went like this. Republicans couldn't win a national election by appealing to the better nature of the country. They could only win by appealing to the worst. Attributed to Richard Nixon, the media's all-purpose bad guy, this came to be known as the Southern strategy. It was very simple. Win elections by winning the South. And to win the South, appeal to racists. So the Republicans, the party of Lincoln, were to now be labeled the party of rednecks. But this story of the two parties switching identities is a myth. In fact, it's three myths wrapped into one false narrative. Let's take a brief look at each myth in turn. Myth number one, in order to be competitive in the South, Republicans started to pander to white racists in the 1960s. Fact, Republicans actually became competitive in the South as early as 1928 when Republican Herbert Hoover won over 47% of the South's popular vote against Democrat Al Smith. In 1952, Republican President Dwight Eisenhower won the southern states of Tennessee, Florida, and Virginia. And in 1956, he picked up Louisiana, Kentucky, and West Virginia, too. And that was after he supported the Supreme Court decision in Brown versus Board of Education that desegregated public schools, and after he sent the 101st Airborne to Little Rock Central High School to enforce integration. Myth number two, Southern Democrats, angry with the Civil Rights Act of 1964, switched parties. Fact, of the 21 Democratic senators who opposed the Civil Rights Act, just one became a Republican. The other 20 continued to be elected as Democrats or were replaced by other Democrats. On average, those 20 seats didn't go Republican for another 2.5 decades. Myth number three, since the implementation of the Southern strategy, the Republicans have dominated the South. Fact, Richard Nixon, the man who is often credited with creating the Southern strategy, lost the Deep South in 1968. In contrast, Democrat Jimmy Carter nearly swept the region in 1976, 12 years after the Civil Rights Act of 1964. And in 1992, over 28 years later, Democrat Bill Clinton won Georgia, Louisiana, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, and West Virginia. The truth is, Republicans didn't hold a majority of Southern congressional seats until 1994, 30 years after the Civil Rights Act. As Kevin Williamson of National Review writes, if Southern rednecks ditched the Democrats because of a civil rights law passed in 1964, it is strange that they waited until the late 1980s and early 1990s to do so. They say things move slower in the South, but not that slow.
So I think that's a pretty good explanation.
Well, I'm not going to complain about the clip.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was pretty good. It was interesting. It did bring in a few things. When she does talk about the states that voted for the Republicans during that era before the Civil Rights Act passed, they always failed to mention Georgia and Alabama, which were two states that were strong Democrat states. Georgia's since become a strong Republican state, and they keep talking about it flipping back to blue, but it's red and blue.
Right.
And I think the whole thing should surround studying what happened in Georgia. Because Georgia would be probably the understanding the whole thing. Because why are they Republicans? According to her thesis, or even mine or yours, there's no reason for it,
right?
Based on the thesis. Now, her premise at the beginning is the thing that we should take note of, which was there's a bunch of leftists that came up with this idea, and there is a strategy underway, but it's not a Republican strategy.
Right.
It's a strategy of
to make them look like rednecks,
suckering the black community into being Democrats and not doing anything for them, including. But what did Obama do for the blacks? Nothing. And by the way, when people voted for Obama, all the whites that voted for Obama, and I'm saying this because I'm white, is that it was expected that Obama would do something for the black community specifically.
He did.
What?
Well, hold on. Can't believe you don't remember. He got credited widely for this.
helping people just get by.
No, here it is.
Everybody in Cleveland, low minority, got Obama phone. Keep Obama in president, you know. He gave us a phone.
Remember? Obama phone.
The Obama phone, yeah. Yeah, he did a lot. That was great.
You walked right into that one.
Yeah, he did. You're right. It's like a pie in the face. Yeah. Now, since we're on this sort of discussion, I'm always looking out for these words that keep cropping up.
Mm-hmm.
And first of all, I got Jake Tapp. There's a black representative bitching and moaning about something on the Jake Tapper show, and I want you to pay careful attention to this. To the usage of a specific word, which I think is going to be popular.
But explain why you think it's different, because there are a lot of, and I really mean this, a lot of good faith people, conservatives, who think this is a double standard.
Bernie Sanders is calling for a political revolution of ideas. He has never incited violence. He has never talked about beating up protesters. He has never called anyone the enemy. He has said that Wall Street should be held accountable and they should go to jail for bringing America to the brink of collapse. But he's never incited violence. He's never othered anyone. And when there were folks in our coalition that were doing that, I and others and the senators spoke up against that. And so I think that's why this is different. Donald Trump has had ample opportunity to check his coalition.
Wow, that was a double, though. She did a great job. First, she used the othered as a verb, and then she said, I like others. She positioned herself as an othered.
Yes, she did. And then she used the term check his coalition, which is a leftist concept.
What does it mean, check his coalition?
It means you check your coalition. It means you take control of these people.
So
if you watch the way the Democrats do organizing, you see them, there's one boss and a bunch of people that do whatever they're told. And that's kind of what Trump's expected to do the same thing on the other side.
Well, I agree with you wholeheartedly on this othered, because let me tell you where this came up, and someone's gonna have to help me find a copy. I was just scanning through the channels the other day, and I happened to bump up to Supergirl, which I played a clip of Supergirl when there's like the president's not an 8-year-old. Remember that? And I thought it was a cartoon. Turns out it's live action. It's actually acted, and it's on the CW. And on the episode I saw, which I need to clip, there's some aliens who have come in, and they're called the others. There's othering, they'll be othered, and it was completely Trump and immigrants.
Oh, you got to go get that.
I have to
send me a copy.
The whole episode was about it, and it was the other that kept others being othered. The whole thing. It's yes, you're right.
Well, here it is on The View.
Oh my goodness! Oh, you've caught on to it.
Country is in a place that it's never been before because the tone is coming from the top. All of a sudden, it's okay to say, I would punch out that reporter. All of a sudden, it's okay to otherize people. And
people on both sides.
And there are good people on both sides. I mean, we've come to a point where people...
We need to have all kinds of versions of this. Do you have an otherization?
I like the otherized
I've been otherized.
I've been otherized.
Yes. Oh, my goodness.
That's the T-shirt idea.
I've been otherized. Just other. Just the T-shirt just says other.
Yeah, well, that would work, too.
That's good. So now we have to pay attention to this otherized. And
this is part of identity politics.
No kidding.
It's like a classic example of identity politics, is you other people and then they're your enemy.
But it's better than that, because now you don't have to say you're as group because you're a different color or religion or gender. You're just other. So everybody can wear that. Everybody can wear that. I'm other because I have Tourette's. I'm otherized, man. Don't otherize me, bro.
Yeah, you are. You're othered.
Good catch.
I'm going to othered you.
Good.
No, but it's so dumb. The phrase is idiotic. It's stupid, and it makes you sound dumb.
Well, be on the lookout for it, producers. We need more othering.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh, yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda. In the morning.
All right, we do have some people to thank for show 1082, beginning with Sir Robert of the Sous Vide in Holland. He's in Holland.
Oh, no.
He's going to make baronet soon, he says. Angela Mackie Rutledge, parts unknown in the Netherlands.
Let me see, where is she in the Netherlands? Oh, it doesn't say.
121.11. Then we have a blank line.
Yes, I see that too.
Yeah, it's a comma. Or not a comma, but a apostrophe is the name of this person from Deutschland. Late to the party donation, he or she writes, greetings from Westerwald. Okay, well, whoever from Westerwald gave us $111.
Hello, Westerwald. Here's the Hof.
We want to thank you. Curtis Mason, Spokane Valley, Washington, $111.11. So there's the two leftovers from the well wishers. Preston Thaler, $100.31. Avinash Persad in Port St. Lucie, Florida, $99.99. Han Keizers
in Leiden.
And
he wants to thank Bas Brunix for calling him out on Thursday's show.
Hey, Brunix, good work.
I've been listening ever since. Never donated. D-douche time.
You've been de-douched.
Yay today.
Brunix used to send a lot of art in, and he gave up.
Well,
we were picking him once in a while.
It's taxing, man. It's taxing.
It is a lot of work. Ward Detweiler in Grosse Pointe, Michigan, 8008. What does he say here? Anything interesting? Oh,
yes, he does say something.
Yeah, he does. I got something I got to read.
Yeah.
So I got a couple of notes on this. So I say, John, I understand your pain.
I just love how you're like, well, that's too long. I don't want to play that. You can stop this. But then he has long notes on mustard. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the other man.
I understand your pain about the lack of real Dijon mustard in the United States, but I have a remedy. Edmund Fallot, which I've had their mustards. I haven't ordered it directly from Amazon Prime. Is the real deal, and I put it on everything. Okay. I got another note from someone saying that the Trader Joe, and let me express my complaint. It was on a show or two ago.
Yes, that all Dijon mustard in America is
flat.
It's rancid.
No, it's not rancid.
It's
you have
flat.
to have oil in it to be rancid.
It's flat.
It's flat. It loses its oomph. And when you go to France and have Dijon, or you bring a bottle over, it's good for a couple of weeks, and then it starts going flat. Even it should be refrigerated, and to shorten the length of time before it goes flat. Because Dijon mustard is almost like wasabi when it's fresh. It's just hot, and it goes right through the nose. It's dynamite stuff, and it's all flat. There's nothing. It's like eating nothing. It's like eating Grey Poupon American style, as opposed to the French one they ship into Canada. So I bitched about this. So he's got this one solution, which I'll check out because I know this brand. I've had it before, but I've never had it this way. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's – and then somebody else is the Trader Joe's branded Dijon. And Trader Joe's, as you know, is a German grocery store chain.
Aldi. Wasn't Aldi?
Well, yes. It's all, yeah. But it's a split off.
The two brothers, they had an argument. One wanted to sell cigarettes. The other one didn't, so they split the company.
Yeah. And so then they bought Trader Joe's years and years ago, and it became this German company. So it's got a lot of characteristics. So it's possible that the Dijon, I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to go there and buy some. So I'll catch up to this. And because everyone's on pins and needles.
Yes, we can't wait. You know,
woo! Can you taste that mustard?
So you know the Smothers Brothers?
Yeah.
The Others Brothers. Hey.
How you talking?
Yeah, that's us,
Carolyn
baby.
Blaney in Toronto, Ontario, 6969. Dvorak movie reviews, please. They are spot on. Sir Chris James in Sturgis, Michigan, 6006. Small boob. Jeffrey Sewell in San Jose, California. Did I see you at the meetup? 5678. Robert Bruckner, 5555, parts unknown. And the following people are $50 donors, name and location if available. William Cameron in Charlotte, North Carolina. Tyler Schimpf in Bothell, Washington. Jeremy Cartwright in Rockford, Illinois. And short list.
Mm-hmm.
Sir Watson in Raleigh, North Carolina. That concludes our group of producers for show 1082. I want to thank each and every one of them and the ones who gave lesser amounts for helping us.
Yeah, the list was only 74K, as in kilobytes.
Yes.
You're like, when you see that file come in, you're like, your heart sinks. Like, it's only 50K, 70 kilobytes. Okay. But we are so grateful for the producers who are producing this show in the way that producers do. Really, thank you very much. We learned so much from you. I mean, where else can you have I mean, does NPR, when they do their donor drives, do they talk about Dijon mustard? No. Or do they?
They don't.
No, they give away tote bags. We give you something worthwhile. But more importantly, this is what makes the network work. All the people who keep saying, you keep me sane, or because we're making jokes, or whatever it is, whatever sauce we have, it seems to work. I'm very proud of it. You should be too, all you producers. Also, those who donated under $50, many for reasons of anonymity and others on our subscriptions. Please take a look at those. And you can do that at
Dvorak.org/NA.
Multiple karmas.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Well, short donations, also short on the birthday list, but we do have two. Sir Jason Zeisler says happy birthday to his brother Joe Zeisler, turns 38 tomorrow, and Carolyn Blaney says happy birthday to John Fletcher. Wait a minute, Fletch? Is it the Fletcher's birthday? 35 today. And as a third, Sir Chris the Drunken Minstrel says happy birthday to his son Felix, who turned 29, he'll think that's funny, who turned 9 years old on the 29th of October. We say happy birthday to all of these people from the best podcast in the universe. And we have a knighting. We have a knighting. That's why I got my sword here. Sword here.
It's right here. It's already out.
Okay. Careful. Don't put an eye out with that thing. Sir Finch Nasty. Step on it. Wait, I'm sorry. Jose Cabral. That's who we have. Sir Finch in a minute. Jose Cabral, come on up to the podium here. At the round table of the No Agenda Knights and Dames. This is our sacred ceremony where, thanks to your contributions of $1,000 or more in aggregate to the No Agenda show, we proudly pronosticate the Sir Cabral of Masarykid Town. For you, we have Hookers and Blow, Rent Boys and Chardonnay, Steel Reserves and Black Milds. We got Pinball and Power Curds, Breast Milk and Pablum, Ginger Ale and Gerbils, Bong Hits and Bourbon, and Mutton and Mead. Let me take that name again. Sir Cabral of Masarykid Town. Am I saying that correctly? Masarykid Town? There's a K in there. That is odd. Well, he'll let us know if that is incorrect. We'll gladly correct the record. And
Title changes, turn and face the slave. Title changes, don't want to be a douchebag.
So there's Sir Finch Nasty, who wanted to shorten his title to Sir Finch, and we're perfectly fine with that. I'm sure that will be reflected in all of our peerage maps. You can find it at itm.im/peerage. And thank you again, Sir Finch Nasty, Sir Cabral, and our birthday list. And thank you for supporting the No Agenda Show, best podcast in the universe. Another one for you on Sunday. Twice a week now.
Twice a week. I heard that.
Let's see. I do have something left here. What did I have? Yeah, I can keep.
Well,
I have a Scandinavian clip which I desperately want to talk about, or at least play. There's some controversy going on, and this is about the census, the Canadian census, and they need to have data on everybody. We have it here in the United States as well, and there's always questions about what's on the form. On the long form, you have to say what race you are, and what are the races that should be there. It's always a big argument.
Always something.
Always something. Well, the Scandinavians, they're just taking it one step further. StatCan, which is Canada's statistical organization of the government, I believe it's a government organization, Statistics Canada. Could be wrong about that too. They've decided there's a better way to get some real census on our northern neighbors.
Honorable Prime Minister. Our government is ensuring that the personal data of Canadians are protected. Statistics Canada will use the anonymized data for statistical purposes only. No personal information will be made public. I understand Statistics Canada is actively engaged with the Privacy Commissioner's office on this project and is working with them to ensure Canadians' banking information remains protected and private.
I'm just going to give a little context. What they are going to do is they're taking a sample of 500,000 Canadians, and they are telling the banks they want all their information, all their purchase information. It will be anonymized, of course. And you can imagine there's some issue with this.
High quality and timely data are critical to ensuring the government programs remain relevant and effective for Canadians.
Honourable Opposition House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, the Liberal government plans to access the personal financial information of Canadians without their knowledge or consent. Personal information like bill payments, online purchases, credit card transactions, cash withdrawals and deposits, even e-transfers between family members, and the list goes on. Will the Prime Minister do the right thing and immediately assure Canadians that this intrusion into their lives will be stopped?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians rightly expect that government agencies and groups like Statistics Canada work with the Privacy Commissioner to ensure that their private lives are protected. But, Mr. Speaker, need I remind you and all Canadians that it was the Conservative government that chose to stop the long-form census, to cancel the long-form census as a way of protecting people's private information. What that led to was more policy based on ideology and less policy based on evidence like we are doing now. Their attacks on data and information continue.
Shut up, slave.
We'll do whatever we want. That's
pretty much.
That's what could possibly go wrong with that.
We need to cover more Canadian stuff in the next
I get notes from newer Canadian listeners, and they're like, hey, really love the show, love the, you talk about Canada. You're pretty ill-informed. It's like, yes, absolutely, we're ill-informed. We need as much help as we can get.
Yep. Well, Canada stuff.
Yes.
We're not that ill-informed.
No, but well, look, I can't refute. I can't refute.
There's some kid running the country. We know that much.
Can't refute. Some kids running the country. Oh, Anne Hathaway got an award at the Human Rights Council.
For what?
Well, you have to know what the Human Rights Council is. They really only do one thing, and that is support LGBTQ issues. That's all that they do. And they do about $45 million a year. And they're lobbying, they're a 501c4, and so they gave her an award, and so the whole, I'm pretty sure it was in California, the whole room is, not, first of all, Anne Hathaway, she's massively wealthy. Her career is unreal. She's from a kid. She's been in so many huge hit movies, but she's acting all the time. This thing on this podium is just an act. And I just had two clips because it was like, wow, kind of a head shaker of what she's saying. So she's virtue signaling. She, as far as I know, she's not gay or transgendered or anything. She does talk about that, but the whole audience is officially LGBTQIAAPK people. And she won the award, and she's very happy, and she wants to say hi to everybody. First of all, we'll learn something.
All right, let's get started. Ladies. Gentlemen. Gentle them.
I've never heard gentle them.
I think it's on the list.
It's a whole new
people
category.
Who call themselves they. It's the pronoun for people who are pronoun they.
Okay.
Like there's more than two of them. I think them would be their group to call out. There's a little guide to this with about maybe 20 of these.
Well, then she actually does.
What about the G's and all these other ones? There's like a lot of them. She has to do all of them.
Well, she does incorrectly. She does my list.
Thank you for this tremendous honor. What I love most about this community is the way you own the alphabet. LGBTQQIAAP. No letter left behind.
She forgot the K.
She left out the K.
And she forgot a B for bicurious, although just discriminate against them. So,
it is important to acknowledge that.
Sorry. So now she's going to, this is the second clip, she's going to explain to us, as a very wealthy, very successful, acting, straight white woman, she's going to explain to us what's wrong with society.
It is important to acknowledge that, with the exception of being a cisgender male, everything about how I was born has put me at the current center of a damaging and widely accepted myth.
A myth! This is the show of myths, John. There's another myth.
Myth is that gayness orbits around straightness.
Uh-huh.
Transgender orbits around cisgender, and that all races orbit around whiteness.
Yay! Where are they talking?
What? Listen to that. We clearly do not understand because this audience gets it, whatever she just said.
This myth is wrong.
Wrong.
But this myth is too real for too many.
So gayness orbits cisgender, and trans orbits, I forgot it already.
It is ancient, so it is trusted. It is a habit, so it's assumed to be the way things are. It's inherited, so it's thought immutable. Its consequences are dangerous because it prioritizes a certain type of love, a certain kind of body, a certain kind of skin color, and does not value in the same way anything it deems to be other to itself.
Other!
It is a myth that is with us from birth, and it is a myth that keeps money and power in the hands of the few instead of being invested in the lives of the free.
Woo!
I appreciate this community.
She's crying.
So much.
No.
Because it's where I learned to
why people
reject
hate her.
this myth. I appreciate this community because together we are not just going to question this myth. We are going to destroy it.
Now, I would say we're pretty damn gay friendly on this show and other friendly.
Other.
But I really would like to understand what this orbiting thing is. It was clearly written for her. I just don't understand it. And then to say that this keeps money away from the people who need to be free. They're sitting on $45 million a year, which they give to politicians and other lobbyist groups.
Yeah, let's get our act together. She says the benefits the few and doesn't benefit the lives of the many is where it should have been. But she says the lives of the free.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe she blew that line up.
That's possible, but the whole thing was like, when does gay circle cisgender? I don't understand what it means. Like it's less than because it's an orbit, and we're the cis, of course, white man, old white man, whitey. I even saw in the troll room someone say it's hard to convince old white guys. It's fine, because here's the good news.
Yeah, ageist and racist,
but it doesn't faze me. Does it bug you? It doesn't bug me. Does it create any pang in your system when you hear that?
I like to bitch about it.
Yeah, but it's not like I'm shocked or I'm always like,
well, I'm not shocked by it too much. I mean, this show is a stabilizing influence on my sanity.
I'm like, finally, we're hated. We're going to be the other. Get used to it. Get used to this word. We're being otherized.
Let's back off and take one more look at an earlier assertion of this show. What are the Democrats thinking? The United States is 72% self-described whites.
Yes.
That includes white Latinos.
Mm-hmm.
why are you trying to offend 72% of the voting public and think you're going to win a lot of elections, and then going even further by promoting a socialist agenda, which is designed just to take money away from people? I mean, it's just baffling to me what they're thinking.
And there's a lot of them thinking that way, and I feel bad.
A lot of whites. I mean, you got your Bill Maher's, you got people on that panel. They're all hating on Whitey, but and Anne Hathaway. Take a look in the mirror, lady. You're a white woman.
What?
Dogs are people too.
Finally, we got it. A study in PLOS. I think that's a real journal, isn't it? Real scientific journal.
I've never heard of it.
PLOS1. Well, we've read things from there a lot. Anyway, that's where this study is published. It is a study from University of Sydney. And here it is. I'll give you the abstract. The results of the study show that human compulsion to seek out animal companionship is one of the primary factors affecting our climate, particularly in the United States, where there are 163 million companion animals, roughly one pet for every 2 Americans, the highest number of any country in the world. And the climate cost of this, mainly because Americans are the largest pet owners in the world, but the tradition of pet ownership in the U.S. has considerable costs. As pet ownership increases in some developing countries, especially China, and trends continue in pet food toward higher content and quality of meat, globally, pet ownership will compound the environmental impacts of human dietary choices. Yes, indeed, the number one thing we can do right away to combat climate change, to stay below that 1.5 degrees before 2030, is kill all the dogs.
Dog haters. They finally emerged. We was waiting for this.
And this is great because you can make someone's head. Now if it's a dog, it's like, that dog is actually causing climate change.
This is the equivalent of fractal, as it were.
Yeah.
To bring that thing back in, of your old thing about blowing people's minds by telling them in a climate change argument, do you believe in peak oil?
Yeah, exactly. No, you don't have to worry about it because we'll run out of oil.
Take care of the problem. Yeah. Run out of oil. But of course, they had to kill the peak oil meme.
Yeah.
Completely. When's the last time you heard the term except right this second?
Yeah.
So now they got this to deal with. Well, that kind of fits in with the World Wildlife, the WWF report about all the. By the way, this report, this is pushing toward the 2020 big meetup that has something to do with the Paris Accords.
Oh, of course.
And of course, it's 2020 will match. We got to get these back in play, so don't vote for Trump. This is what it's really about. But I have been hearing about this forever. Since the 70s.
Oh yeah, of course. Oh, we know that.
We got a clip.
Oh, I'm sorry.
WWF report.
My mistake.
In environmental news, humans have annihilated wildlife over the past half-century, threatening life on Earth as we know it. That's according to a damning new report by WWF, the World Wildlife Fund. The report finds human activity since 1970 is responsible for wiping out 60% of mammals, birds, fish, and reptiles, with the remaining animals threatened by a degraded, overexploited environment and the effects of climate change. This is Mike Bennett, Executive Director of Science and Conservation at World Wildlife Fund.
What we need now is for heads of states to step up and take ownership of this problem and show real leadership.
Give us money.
Yeah, so that's what step up means. Give us some dough, man. Give us some money.
Step up means give us money.
Step it up, bro.
So,
all right.
So my last clip, how are we doing?
Yeah, it's time to go.
Yeah, we're done. Okay, I got the last one then.
Yeah.
Or you can have it.
No, go. No, you go. You go.
So it looks like the Weinstein trial is falling apart.
Uh-oh.
I mean, the guy's ruined, but they're not going to.
But he's not going to jail, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's falling apart. And so here, all I got, this was like one of those clips that just is floating around. It was CNBC or whatever, the network version. They just play stuff, just like RT does. This is Weinstein's attorney just talking to the mic. And then the defense attorney of the woman And it's not really enlightening or anything. It's just a nice little short summary clip.
This is not about victim shaming, and this is not about suggesting that a woman who comes forward should not be believed absent proof. This is about proof that a witness who came forward committed perjury in the grand jury. And what happened here is Harvey Weinstein was so vilified that he was considered to be low-hanging fruit. You just indict him and you worry about convicting them later. And, you know, what's happened is now that I'm drilling down on some of these allegations and the district attorney's office is drilling down on these allegations, this case is not what it was cracked up to be.
I want to be very clear that the prosecution's decision to abandon my client's claims does not invalidate the truth of her claims. It does speak to a system desperately in need of reform. The DA threw away Lucia's claims, but this says nothing about Weinstein's innocence, nor does it reflect on Lucia's consistent allegation that she was sexually assaulted with force by Harvey Weinstein. It only speaks volumes about the Manhattan DA's office and its mishandling of my client's case.
Yeah, he's walking. He's going to walk. Totally. Sad, really. Because there is some reality to what's going on, but abused for political gain, abused for ratings, and obfuscated for the exact same reasons. No, it's political football. These women are being othered.
They are othered.
By the way, I have the peak oil of the dogs. It's actually for myself. I don't have to worry because here's what's going to happen: as climate change makes temperatures warmer, crops fail. We have a global food shortage. We start eating the dogs and cats, fixes climate change.
Dynamite.
Right?
Yeah, I'm all in.
Dinner at my place. I'm not a dog hater, by the way. I actually like dogs. But, yeah, exactly. That's our show, everybody. We will be back on Sunday with another deconstructive episode for you. And remember us to support our Value for Value network and our entire Value for Value methodology at Dvorak.org/NA. NoAgendaShow.com is where you can find the latest show and links to the show notes and the archives and the search and everything. And coming to you from downtown Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State, FEMA Region 6 on the governmental maps, and the 5x9 Cludio in the common law condo. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where I got to see, by the way, the Coastal went by, which is another big train, and it had a little attachment on the end, but it looked like a cheapie. It looked like some cheap little thing some guy had rented. Anyway, I'm John C. Dvorak. That's your update on the trains
right.
to go by.
That's right. It's Fomer and the Crackpot, everybody.
Woo!
Till Sunday. Adios, mofos!
Shut me up, rough, tough, and hard to bluff, hard to bluff, hard to bluff, hard to bluff. You can't dumb me down. I got no need for coke and speed, coke and speed, coke and speed, coke and speed. You can't shut me up. You got no urge to binge and purge, binge and purge, binge and purge. You can't dumb me down. I interface with my database. My database is in cyberspace. I wear power ties, I tell power lies, I take power naps, I run victory laps. I read junk mail, I eat junk food, I buy junk bonds, I watch trash sports. I'm tireless and I'm wireless. I'm an alpha male on beta blockers. Interactive, I'm hyperactive. From time to time, I'm radioactive. I take it slow, I go with the flow. I ride with the tide, I got line in my stride. I don't snooze, so I don't lose. I keep the pedal to the metal and the rubber on the road. I've been pre-washed, pre-cooked, preheated, pre-screened, pre-approved, pre-packaged, dated, freeze-dried. Pre-washed, pre-cooked, preheated, pre-screened, pre-approved, pre-packaged, dated, freeze-dried. And I'm hanging in, there ain't no doubt, and I'm hanging tough. Over and out, over and out, over and out, over and out, over and out.
She's a basket case. Donald Trump. Oh boy. Goofus.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Yeah, you're not of this world, bro.
Me?
You're the alien.
Oh.